4, 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting live from the Newsmax studios, this is the Steve Malzberg Show. Be a part of the action by calling toll-free 1-877-Newsmax. That's 1-877-639-7629. Or email Steve at malzbergshow@newsmax.com. Here is Steve Malzberg.
Today, the D.C. Circuit Court, at least the second most important court in the land, has more than 25% in vacancies. The American people want Washington to work for American families once again. Mr. President, I'm on their side, which is why I propose an important change to the rules of the United States Senate.
All right, welcome to the Steve Malzberg Show, everyone. We have breaking news on this Thursday edition. The rules of the Senate, for the first time in hundreds of years, changed by Harry Reid and the Democrats, severely affecting and limiting the role of the filibuster. And the Senate now more like the House, where most things will need a simple majority, not how the founders or anybody else really set up the Senate. The Senate was supposed to be different. Joining us now to talk about this and much, much more is Donald Trump. Hello, Donald.
Hello, Steve. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. So what do you make of this? I mean, you talk about blatant, in-your-face power grab.
Well, it's a political move, and it's a move nevertheless, and I guess at some point they had to do it. There's no getting along in Washington. The Republicans and the Democrats hate each other, and this is really a lack of leadership, because if you think about it, if you had the leadership, you wouldn't be having these problems in the first place. You'd have people voting, and you'd have people getting along on issues, including putting certain people on the court. So it's unfortunate a thing like this has to happen, but it's happened.
I mean, they call it the nuclear option, and, it's been talked about for many years. But Democrats have to understand, Donald, this is what troubles me. They have to understand that probably there's a great probability that in a year they're going to be in the minority, and then this will be used against them. So why undertake this and have 1 year if it's not to really push hard on the Obama agenda and try to ram things through like they did with the rules change for Obamacare?
Well, Steve, I'm a Republican, and I know a lot of Democrats, as you know, and there are a lot of friends. And to be honest with you, this is what they're worried about. What happens when we're not in power? So I've seen so many times where somebody thinks they get the advantage, but honestly, if lots of things happen, and because of Obamacare and what's been going on with the president, you could have a very, very big change in the Senate, and even a more positive change in the House. I mean, 3 weeks ago, everybody was talking about the bad position the Republicans are in. Well, right now, I think the Democrats are in a terrible position. So this could come back to haunt them. And Democrats didn't like it, many Democrats, because they said, well, it's good today, but what happens in 2 years if, in fact, we lose that majority? And that could very well happen. So it's a very dangerous thing, and it can be a double-edged sword, and therefore it might not be so bad as it sounds for the Republicans.
All right, let me ask you before we get to Obamacare and something you predicted on this show, and even before you predicted on this show. Ted Cruz was on with me earlier, and he made quite a bit of news because I asked him. He talks about the abuse of power by this administration and this president selectively enforcing parts of laws, not enforcing certain laws, changing the Obamacare law the way he wants to, unconstitutional. So I said impeachable, and he said I would urge the House to use their best judgment on that. What do you think? And here's just another example, because Harry Reid did this with Obama's urging. I mean, what we're seeing here, to me, is really chilling.
Well, I have millions of Twitter followers at Real Donald Trump, millions, and I get that impeachment question asked so many times. Why aren't they impeaching the president? Why aren't they doing something about it? So, I can't answer that question. That's a very, very strong word to use the word impeach. But I will say this. I do not believe he is going by the laws. I do not believe this stuff can be held up in court. The problem is it'll take so long to go through the court system that by the time you end up with a solution, so many other things have happened. But certainly he's changing the said Obamacare will never be able to hold up. It's going to die of its own weight.
Well, let's play for you exactly what you said on this show in August, and I know you predicted this even prior to that, but let's go back to August, and let's hit this cut.
I would absolutely approve the budget, but I would not approve Obamacare. In other words, I'd approve the budget because politically speaking, I think it's important that they do that. Approve a budget, but I would not include Obamacare in the budget. That way, at some point, they'll have to make a decision. Do we get rid of this monster, which is an absolute monster? And by the way, the Democrats know about it 100%. They know what's going on. They know how bad it is. Do we get rid of it or don't we get rid of it? And that's what I would do.
There you go.
Well, I think that it is dying of its own weight. I told you that. I told other people that. And it's frankly just a disaster. Nobody ever thought it would happen this fast and be this bad. Nobody ever even thought in terms of a website where they hire Canadians, pay them $1 billion. They're over $1 billion now with $635 million. And we have these great companies, Google and eBay and Microsoft, and I could name 10 of them that could have done this. It would have been like chicken feed. But I will tell you, it's hard to believe that it imploded to the extent. People now, it's delete payment. They can't even pay. And in some cases, they're getting health insurance without paying. And in other cases, they can't get the health insurance. There's never been a website that's so screwed up. And if you looked at the company that's done it, they have a whole history of really creating very bad websites that have nothing but problems. So, you think that a man that would have his whole legacy based on Obamacare, because that's, I think, the biggest thing that he's done in terms of what he perceives as his legacy, which is now turning out to be a disaster. You think that he would have been involved in choosing the company, working with Sebelius, who's been a disaster, working with her, and choosing a company that's going to do, like, a spectacular job. If you would have called, as an example, the Google guys in there, Eric Schmidt and the group, I really believe they probably would have done it for nothing. They would have done it as a service to the United States. If you would have called in Microsoft, if you would have called in some of the great companies, they would have probably done it for nothing. Instead, they use a Canadian company that has a bad track record. Hard to believe. And this is his legacy. Now, he then, of the website and the company that does the website, it's so vital. So there's something wrong. But the bottom line is, website or no website, at some point, I happen to think, I know a lot about websites. I happen to think you have to blow up the website and start all over again. It's like I'm building Doral and I have the Blue Monster. Well, I blew it up and I started all over again. And that was a great course to start off with.
Absolutely, yeah.
But I blew it up, and it's now been built, and it's incredible.
Well, I'm sure.
And the fact is,
everything you do is incredible.
Well, I do a good job. I'm a good builder. But, the fact is, if I took it and just did little piecemeal areas, it could never be great.
Right.
They can't do that with a website. They have to blow it up and start.
Right, like resod the 17th hole. I mean, that's what they're doing here.
Well, let's say I had a sand trap on hole number 14.
Donald, let me ask you about a couple of things here. Martin Bashir, what he said about Sarah Palin, that someone should defecate and urinate in her mouth, and he's still working there. No, there hasn't been an official statement that I've heard from MSNBC, only his apology.
Well, he's a sleazebag. Everybody knows it. And, he's a lowlife, and that's the kind of thing he would say. He should be fired. There's no question about it. And he wasn't. So maybe he will be. But I think that's a terrible thing to say. And I know Sarah, and she's high quality. And for him to make that statement, he should absolutely be fired. He's a total lowlife, and he shouldn't be on.
All right, one more. A-Rod, you following that at all? Yesterday he walks out. He's really ticked off that the commissioner will not be made to testify at his arbitration hearing. He went on record yesterday on Mike Francesa's radio show saying he did not do anything, did not take steroids, did not take performance enhancing, did not intimidate witnesses. I don't know if I believe that at all. But what do you think about A-Rod? Is the 211 games too much?
Well, I've never been an A-Rod fan, and I've watched over the years. I've never been a fan. He's lived in my buildings. The people that work in the buildings did not like him. I have many athletes living in my buildings in Manhattan and in New York and different places. And, I know every once in a while I'll say to the doorman, how do you like him? They love Derek Jeter. They love so many of the athletes. They love Derek. They don't like A-Rod. And that tells me something. Right. When the people in the building don't like him. I've never been a fan. He's been, for him to say he hasn't been taken is a joke. Look what happened since he hasn't been taken. He became an average baseball player. All his life he's doing these great things. And then the Yankees. And what I don't understand is, why did the Yankees keep paying him for the last 2 years? They should have stopped paying him. He was so bad when he was playing the season before last. He couldn't hit anything.
Donald, as always, I appreciate your time. Thank you, sir. We'll speak soon.
You take care of yourself, Steve.
Take care. Donald Trump, ladies and gentlemen.
The Steve
A hot new book by Craig Smith argues that the greenback is now at high risk thanks to our spendthrift politicians. Mark Twain said the truth is stranger than fiction. The same is true of the Great Debasement, which began a century ago with the creation of the Federal Reserve and income tax. The result, today's dollar retains just 2 cents of its original buying power. Yes, progressive politicians have engineered the largest wealth confiscation in history, creating in essence a fourth branch of government. Learn what must be done to preserve your money if the dollar crashes. The good news is Swiss America is offering the Great Debasement, a $20 value free of charge for this special radio offer.
800-818-3967. 800-818-3967. 800-818-3967. Call Swiss America now for a free DVD. 800-818-3967.
Wow, you look great. Thanks. I've lost some weight. What's your secret weapon? Actually, I do in fact have one. Really?
If you're looking for help in your weight loss efforts, remember this name, Metabio. It just may be the edge you've been looking for. Metabio is the nutritional weight loss breakthrough power-packed with 5 high-quality ingredients. Metabio supports healthy metabolism and promotes fat loss. It helps maintain your optimal weight and wellness when used as part of a healthy lifestyle. Now you can receive a 30-day supply of Metabio. Simply cover a $4.95 shipping fee. Visit themetabio.com/offer for complete details. Act now and you'll also be given instant access to our downloadable special report, A Practical Guide to Healthy Weight Management. Learn how you can try Metabio for 30 days at themetabio.com/offer. That's the metabio.com/offer. Hurry, only while supplies last at themetabio.com/offer.
Heart disease is the biggest killer disease in America, and this doesn't surprise me. We are addicted to starches, sugars, fatty meats, and salt. People who live in countries with little heart disease eat very differently. One way some people stay heart healthy is by following what is known as the caveman or Stonehenge diet, so named because of its similarity to the way our prehistoric ancestors ate. People who follow this type of diet live off local fruits and root vegetables and get their protein mostly from fish and wild game they shoot themselves. Now, since most of us don't hunt or fish for all our protein, here are some simple tips on how you can start to eat like a caveman, modern day style. First, fill up on fruits and vegetables. Eat them first and you'll be less hungry. Feast on fish, which is rich in nutrients but not in calories. Choose fatty fish like mackerel, herring, sardines, and salmon, which are rich in heart-healthy omega-3 fatty acids. Get out and go for a walk. Remember, our ancestors were hunters and gatherers, so they didn't spend their time sitting in front of a TV or computer all day. If you live more like a caveman or a cave woman, your heart will love you for it. I'm Dr. Chauncey Crandall, and thank you for watching this Heart Health Minute. Remember, it's never too late to prevent or reverse heart disease. Right now, I invite you to discover your own risk for heart disease or even a heart attack by taking my quick, free online quiz at www.simplehearttest.com.
4813. That's 800-978-4813.
Where can you find the Steve Malzberg Show? Everywhere. From your smartphone to satellite radio, Newsmax Live TV to Roku, we have you covered. Here is Steve Malzberg.
But if the right of free and open debate is taken away from the minority party and the millions of Americans who ask us to be their voice, I fear that the already partisan atmosphere in Washington will be poisoned to the point where no one will be able to agree on anything. That doesn't serve anyone's best interest, and it certainly isn't what the patriots who founded this democracy had in mind. We owe the people who sent us here more than that. We owe them much more.
All right, folks, there you have it. Welcome back to the Steve Malzberg Show. Senator Barack Obama, back when the Senate was controlled by the Republicans, and the Republicans were talking about the nuclear option. So my, oh my, how his tune has changed. Now, let me point something out to you here. And we hope to be joined by Senator Orrin Hatch within the next minute or two. And I will ask him about this. First of all, Chuck Todd is reporting that Harry Reid took this move because the Democrat activist base has been after him to do it for some time, and that this will be after the deflation of Obamacare, that base needs this to buoy them. Okay, now listen to Barack Obama today, but first let's go to Senator Orrin Hatch. Of course, a Republican from Utah. He chaired or was ranking member of the House Judiciary Committee from 1993 to 2005. He's now the ranking member on the Finance Committee. Hello, Senator.
How are you doing?
I'm doing well, but I just saw you on CNN, and I want to add a little bit to what you were right on target. Chuck Todd of NBC News is reporting that it's the Democratic activist base, quote unquote, that was behind this, pressuring Obama and Reid to do this to take the focus off of and make up for the disaster of Obamacare.
Well, it's the hard left that Reid had to put up with, but he should have just said, no, we're not going to change the rules. We're not going to break the rules to change them. And we're certainly not going to do it this way. I think Harry should have been a stronger leader under the circumstances and not allowed them to do that. It's a real mistake. But between you and me, I think the real reason they did this is try and create a controversy so they can escape criticism for Obamacare, which is wrecking the country.
Well, I mean, they got in on this, and secondly, you guys have a great chance of taking back the Senate in a year, and then they'll be on the losing side of that. So why now?
Well, people who really think it through, and there were very few on the Democratic side who did, and there were a lot of people who know better over there, but just couldn't bring themselves to take on the leadership in the Democratic Party and Obamacare problems that we have, because they're killing our party, and they are, and they should be. That was a totally partisan bill. It was passed by them under a very belligerent, raw power basis. It was supported only by Democrats, and now it's blowing up in their face, not just because of the rollout. They ought to be able someday to get the rollout taken care of. They're never going to get that taken care of from the standpoint of safety of the information you give to them. Already they're seeing the fraudsters taking advantage of what they've done so far. And frankly, it's going to cost more than anybody ever dreamed possible. Keep in mind, all but 30 million people in our country, in other words, of 315 million people, there were 30 million without health insurance. 91% of the American people liked their health insurance before Obamacare. Why couldn't we just have concentrated on the 30% who didn't have health care and save us all of this tremendous increase? And in the process, the bill's not going to work anyway, because it is a totally lousy partisan bill that was crafted in Harry Reid's office.
Well, Senator, all these people, these idiots who are Americans who loved their health insurance and were satisfied.
Oh, yeah.
They didn't know any better. They had subpar plans from rotten apple insurance companies, and they were going to go bankrupt without coverage. You're just too stupid to know it.
Well, I have to say that they were better off then than they'll be after Obamacare. But to go back to the
well, Senator, I want you to hear something, because I want you to clear something up for me.
Okay.
The president, this filibuster change applies only to judicial nominations, correct? And appointments?
Oh no.
Everything.
Well, I think they excluded the Supreme Court, but they'll never be able to exclude that.
But you mean gun legislation? All legislative bills will now be subject to the same 51 vote threshold?
Well, that's the way I'm interpreting it, and I think well, let's face it, they just have to go through the routine again. And if Republicans take over, that's all they have to do. Now, they did exclude the Supreme Court. I guess they thought that they can keep the Supreme Court from ever having another conservative on it. But the Republicans have every right to do to them exactly what they've done in this case. Now, frankly, I'd like to avoid that. I think the Democrats have got to wake up over there and realize that, yeah, they're in trouble over Obamacare. That was not a justifiable reason to use raw political power.
right, Senator, let me ask you this.
They're wrong here.
President Obama has unilaterally enforced laws and chosen not to enforce laws, changed the work provision of the welfare bill, immigration, no deportations, did not defend DOMA, did not ordered them not to enforce DOMA. Now he's changing the Obamacare bill. When you couple those unconstitutional acts with this power grab, does it frighten you?
It certainly is a matter of great concern to me. Let me tell you, the American people need to know that these people are power hungry, and if they can't get their way through the Congress, which he has not been able to do in many instances, then he's going to do it through judicial power. And by putting 3 liberals on the D.C. Circuit Court, when the court is divided 4 Republican nominees, 4 Democrat nominees, putting 3 more on and changing the power of that court hears all the administrative law. That's all your environmental law and so many other things, all of the regulations and so forth. And they very seldom change the rules and regulations, and they're never going to change them now because the Democrats are going to control that, and the president will be able to legislate from that bench legislation that he could never, ever get through the Congress of the United States.
Senator,
and that's what's behind all this.
Yep.
And I'm telling you, it's immoral, it's wrong, it's very, very dangerous. Republicans are up in arms.
Is it impeachable, sir?
Well, I hate to ever get into impeachability unless there's a clear-cut case, but if you can't keep issuing executive orders and taking power away
Senator,
from
I'm up against a hard break.
Okay?
Thank you so much, Senator Orrin Hatch. I hope you'll come back on the Steve Malzberg Show.
Constipation, gas, bloating, most people suffer through. But now there's a simple solution for occasional digestive problems called Bactipro. Developed by holistic medical doctor David Brownstein, Bactipro is the fiber probiotic formula that supports healthy digestive and immune health. And it comes in the form of an easy-to-eat, tasty wafer. Bactipro contains 6 powerful strains of beneficial probiotic bacteria, dietary fiber, and bacteria-nourishing prebiotics, plus powerful antioxidants. Now you can receive a 30-day supply of Bactipro. Just cover a $4.95 shipping fee. Visit Bactipro.com/special. Act now, and you'll also be given instant access to our downloadable special report, A Doctor's Guide to Probiotics and Your Health. Improve your digestive health now. Learn how you can receive your 30-day supply at Bactipro.com/special. That's BACTIPRO.com/special. Bactipro.com/special.
Hi, this is Mike Reagan. You need to watch out because thousands of new Obamacare rules are currently being implemented, and few know what the law says or does. Listen to what Senator Max Baucus, one of the authors of the Obamacare law, recently said.
I tell you, I just see a huge train wreck coming down, and I don't see any results yet. I just see a huge train wreck.
He's right. So protect yourself from this train wreck. Get the #1 bestseller, The Obamacare Survival Guide. Newsmax says it's the best guide to the new law. Join more than 500,000 Americans who have their copy. Get the Obamacare Survival Guide at bookstores everywhere, or get our special $4.95 offer and save $15 off the cover price by going now to Obamacare911.com. That's Obamacare911.com. That's Obamacare911.com.
Judging from everything you hear, you think all cholesterol is bad, but that's not really true. You need a certain amount of cholesterol to maintain good health. The problem is that too much cholesterol in your blood contributes to a plaque, a fatty substance that narrows the coronary arteries that feed blood flow to your heart. Picture your coronary arteries as a 4-lane highway. If 1 lane becomes blocked, traffic still flows well. 2 lanes, no major problem. But if a 3rd lane becomes blocked, that spells trouble. It's the same way with your coronary arteries. And when plaque slows their blood flow to your heart, this can even cause a heart attack. The good news is that when it comes to cholesterol, lifestyle changes can pay off big time. Even a small reduction in plaque can be like opening up another highway lane. Suddenly, blood flow that was stalled can go forward again. Changing your lifestyle does not have to be hard. And in fact, here are 3 ways to help you start lowering your cholesterol. Snack on nuts, Nuts are probably one of the easiest and tastiest ways to lower cholesterol. Walnuts and almonds are among the best. Bulk up your diet with fiber. Choose whole fruits instead of a fruit juice, brown rice instead of white, and if you're eating a baked potato, be sure to leave the skin on. Choose fish. Fish contains cholesterol-fighting omega-3 fatty acids. I'm Dr. Chauncey Crandall, and thanks for watching this Heart Health Minute. Remember, it's never too late to prevent or reverse heart disease. Right now, I invite you to discover your own risk for heart disease or even a heart attack by taking my quick, free online quiz at www.simplehearttest.com.
4813 800-978-4813. That's 800-978-4813.
Where can you find the Steve Malzberg Show? Everywhere. From your smartphone to satellite radio to Newsmax Live TV to Roku, we have you covered. Here is Steve Malzberg.
All right, we are back. Oh, boy, fast-moving show. Donald Trump, Orrin Hatch, and now our friend, the great Andy McCarthy, who, of course, is former U.S. Attorney, Assistant U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York, best-selling author of Spring Fever, The Illusion of Islamic Democracy, and you read him at National Review, where he's an editor, and PJ Media, where he wrote a great piece that we're going to talk about. And everything fits in, Andy, all your titles, all your expertise, all your experience, because we have not only your piece today that I want to talk about, but also the news of the day with the Democrats in the Senate voting to change the rules of the filibuster. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing fine, Steve. How are you?
Good. Okay, now I'm a little confused, though, I got to tell you, and I don't know if you know the answer to this. Candy Crowley came on and said that this only applies. This was after the president spoke and went on how, gun legislation and immigration and equal pay for women and all this has been blocked by the high threshold of the filibuster, implying that this would now be remedied. Candy Crowley came on and said, I don't think the president understands that this only applies to judicial nominees and other nominees. And I asked Orrin Hatch, and he said, no. I said, so it applies to everything? He said, as far as I know. So I don't even know. I guess I believe Hatch more than Crowley, but do you have any inkling?
My understanding, Steve, for now is that it only applies to judicial nominations. And in fact, some of what I understand Reid's people are putting out by the back door is that even though by pushing this today, he basically walked away from everything he has ever said about this issue, which cut exactly the other way and was basically a testament to why we needed the filibuster. Part of why they say they're doing this is because there are people on the left who want an even more sweeping rule change that would do away with the filibuster period and basically make the Senate no different from the House.
Right.
You would have majority rules and you could push through anything. So as I understand it, it only applies to, not only does it only apply to judicial nominations, the interpretation I heard is that it only applies to judicial nominations with respect to the lower federal courts, meaning the circuit courts and the district courts. But, I would stress to people that limitation, and this may be what Senator Hatch is getting at, that limitation is illusory, because if they can change this rule on the dime, they can change any rule on the dime.
Right.
It used to be that you needed 67 votes to change the rules.
Right, and that was changed. That filibuster level was changed in the 70s, I think, 75.
Right, but the point is that they're even changing the rules about changing the rules.
Right. As well, the Republicans are saying they violated the rules to change the rules.
Right, and what that ends up meaning is that you basically have the law of the jungle. I mean, if there are no enduring rules, if what we're now dealing with is that you just need a majority to change the rules that have been in effect. Basically Thomas Jefferson wrote the rules that the Senate operates under. I mean, they've been changed and tweaked over time, but we're dealing with rules that have been in effect for a very, very long time. And if you've now struck a procedure where it only takes 51 votes to change the rule, in effect, you really have no rules.
Right,
because anytime they don't like them, they'll just change them.
Absolutely, yeah. And I want you to listen to what the president said. Not only Harry Reid traditionally, but the president as senator, I believe in 2006, about a proposed change in the rules by the Republicans. This is cut 31.
But if the right of free and open debate is taken away from the minority party and the millions of Americans who ask us to be their voice, I fear that the already partisan atmosphere in Washington will be poisoned to the point where no one will be able to agree on anything. That doesn't serve anyone's best interest, and it certainly isn't what the patriots who founded this democracy had in mind. We owe the people who sent us here more than that. We owe them much more.
The Patriots, huh?
Yeah, who was that man, by the way? Yeah, that's striking and stunning in and of itself.
And then he went on to say that it was unpatriotic to raise the debt limit, right?
Well, yep, absolutely. Yeah, he's not the same man he was when he was senator. That's for sure. Okay, let's move on though. Your piece, which I just think is brilliant and scary at the same time. I'm using the word scary a lot because when it comes to this president and this administration, the power grab, the changing of the rules, the foreign policy, the fighting alongside and supporting of terrorists that hate us and want to kill us, it's just like we're living in a totally upside-down world, as you and I have been talking about for 5 years now. But you talk about Secretary of State Kerry seeing common ground with the terror regime, the barbaric terror regime, as you put it at PJ Media, of Iran. And I want you to explain that, but I hearken back immediately to what he said in Turkey when he talked about how the Israelis who defended themselves on that flotilla when they were attacked, and they killed, I think, 7 Turkish terrorists or whatever you want to call them. And Kerry said, we know... I'm sorry?
I said terrorist is a good word.
Yeah, and he says, we know how to feel because we just got hit at the Boston Marathon. And he compared innocent victims watching a race to the terrorists that Israel had to kill to defend their people on the ships. So I'm not surprised by what you wrote about, but it makes me sick. Tell the folks what you wrote about.
Yeah, Kerry is, I mean, it's hard to come up with words to describe Kerry.
French.
I don't want to say that about the French.
That's right. They're holding out for Iran. That's true.
Yeah. They at least have, have the courage of their convictions.
But I mean, he calls, he always thinks of himself as French. That's why I say that.
Right. But what Kerry said this time around, and every statement he makes seemingly is mind-boggling, beginning with the one last week about how I don't think we're stupid, which I think needs to be rethought by him as well. But what he said recently, within the last few days, is that there's common ground between the United States and Iran because Iran has just now suffered an attack by Al-Qaeda on one of its diplomatic facilities. The Iranian embassy in Lebanon. And I guess what I tried to point out in my column is 2 things. Number one, Iran has been attacking American embassies for 30 years and American diplomatic installations and American personnel overseas, possibly even in the United States. In fact, the Iranian regime was born out of an attack in 1979 on the American embassy in Iran. So for Kerry to make a statement like that is sort of mind-boggling. The other point, Steve, is that Al-Qaeda became Al-Qaeda as we know it today because of Iran. Al-Qaeda struck up a relationship with Iran in the early 1990s, basically right after bin Laden took the jihad global and anti-American after the Afghan Mujahideen drove the Russians out of Afghanistan.
Yeah.
So, Al-Qaeda became the Al-Qaeda as we know it because it was trained and funded and harbored by Iran and Hezbollah. One of Osama bin Laden's big imperatives in the early days was to encourage that Shiites and Sunnis put aside their enmity for each other and unite against the common enemy, the United States. And that gave birth to the relations that Iran has had pretty continuously up until very recently with Al-Qaeda. And as you and I have talked about before, you know that I've strongly argued against the United States intervening in Syria. And one of the big reasons for that is that by us staying out of it, we actually have our enemies turning on each other. That's why Al-Qaeda is now bombing Iran. But the thought that we have common ground with Iran and that we're going to not only overlook Iran's history, but also Iran's very particular history of aiding and abetting and essentially creating the Al-Qaeda as we know it today is just, it boggles the mind.
Yeah, and Al-Qaeda and Hezbollah and our dead Marine on the tarmac and the embassy and it goes on and on and on. But, it's just an extension. This president was dying to shake this guy's hand who had blood all over it, American blood. Doesn't stop him. Next we'll be training their Republican Guard. I'm sure that's in the offing.
Right, and who is saying these things? Kerry, the guy who in 2005 accused American troops in Iraq of terrorism.
Yep.
Now looks at an actual terrorist regime and empathizes.
It is insane. You can't. It is, Andy. I don't even know what to. You and I, we banged our heads and scratched. We've scratched our heads over the years, but now I think we're banging them. Because we're just banging them.
My head so long, I used to have hair up there.
And listen, by the way, Ezra Klein writes, and thanks to Rich, our fine producer, the change in the Senate made today is small but consequential. The filibuster no longer applies to judicial or executive branch nominees. It still applies to bills and Supreme Court nominations. But he went on to make your point, Andy, that but the first time any significant legislation is filibustered and needs the 60 and doesn't get it, they'll just blow it up.
Right.
Yeah. So that's where we are.
Steve, expect them to put the pedal to the metal between now and next January because they got a wipeout coming, I think, in the 2014 election. So they're going to go for whatever they can get from here on out.
That's what I don't get. I don't get it. They know that because if they're willing to do this and try to and they can push forward nominations and stuff, which will have a significant effect. Talking about judges' lifetime appointments on a very important bench when it comes to regulations. But nonetheless, the House could thwart legislation even if they ram it through the Senate with 51 votes. So I just think there's something really nefarious here, and it's just scary to me. That's all.
I would point out to people, as I mentioned this National Review today, the framers give us tools to deal with this, but if the Republicans won't use them, then this becomes like a runaway freight train. Courts can't operate unless the House of Representatives funds them. And just because the Constitution puts Congress in charge of whether we have these lower federal courts, and just because Congress establishes them doesn't mean that they're permanent or they have to be forever. They can be disestablished as well.
So, okay, so the House could then say we're not going to fund the courts that you're,
you might
stacking.
You might have a shutdown of the government over it, but there are ways to fight back.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't hold my breath because they're riding the wave of the health care, but it is frightening that these people could be appointed for a lifetime and these Obama regulations could be in place and hold constitutional muster because of these judges for decades to come. Andy, always a pleasure. Thank you for your time, sir.
Thank you, Steve.
Take care. Andy McCarthy, ladies and gentlemen, and read his book if you haven't read Spring Fever, The Illusion of Islamic Democracy. It's out in paperback, bestseller. So many bestsellers from Andy McCarthy on jihad and the Islamic world. And, of course, he helped put the blind sheik in jail. And don't think the blind sheik, don't think that before Barack Obama leaves office, don't think that it's as part of some deal somewhere, somehow, or just gratuitously, Barack Obama will release the blind sheik from a New York State prison or federal prison in New York City, by the way, and release him back to wherever the heck he came from. Don't think. He's the man responsible for the first World Trade Center bombing. But that wasn't so bad. Only a handful of people got killed, right? I mean, how long are you going to hold a grudge? The guy's blind after all, right? He deserves a little freedom. I'm telling you, that's coming. You wait. You wait. All right, folks. So when we come back, Susan Ferricchio, Chief Congressional Correspondent, Washington Examiner, will go in depth again on the filibuster and the change and the nuclear option passed by Harry Reid and all but 3 Democrats, I believe, in the Senate when we return right here on the Steve Malzberg Show, Newsmax TV and radio.
The Steve Newsmax magazine is proud to present a special tribute to our 40th president, Ronald Reagan. It's a very special documentary and commemorative issue of Newsmax magazine celebrating the centennial of President Reagan's birth. First, here's a video clip from the award-winning documentary Rendezvous with Destiny.
We're in the midst of a springtime of hope for America.
You ain't seen nothing yet.
Impulses of an evil empire.
Tear down this wall.
I believe that together we can keep this rendezvous with destiny.
In the next several minutes, you will learn things about President Ronald Reagan that you've never seen, heard, or read before. Welcome to today's special Newsmax event celebrating the life and legacy of President Reagan. During this historic presentation, we will commemorate President Reagan's storied life. We'll revisit his 2 terms in office and recollect his proudest achievements and greatest challenges. Ronald Reagan's life reads like a fairy tale of success stories. He was an accomplished athlete, an honored veteran, a famous actor, the governor of California, and of course, our nation's 40th president.
He called himself a citizen politician and only entered politics when he warned government was gaining too much power. By then he was age 54, with a successful career behind him. Twice elected President of the United States, Ronald Wilson Reagan was a contradiction to some, once a Democrat, then a Republican. A champion of smaller government whose own government grew, a fiscal conservative who failed to balance the budget. His critics mistook his affability for weakness, but behind the smile and the charm existed an extraordinary leader with unique skills and bold and revolutionary ideas.
We only had time to share just a few of the top defining moments in Ronald Reagan's presidency, but you'll get to see them all in Rendezvous with Destiny. By the way, the president's close relationship with the Pope is especially fascinating. You'll also learn how dealing with an alcoholic father helped shape Reagan's ability to negotiate. And if you ever wondered what the leader of the free world likes to get for the holidays, well, you'll find that out as well. So let's review today. In this free offer, we are sending you a copy of Ronald Reagan, Rendezvous with Destiny, and the collector's limited edition of our issue commemorating the 100th anniversary of President Reagan's birth.
Right now, when you subscribe to Newsmax magazine, you can own both the DVD and receive the special Reagan 100th birthday commemorative edition. That's $25 in bonus gifts when you subscribe. Go to newsmax.com/Reagan13 to subscribe today. Join the millions who read Newsmax magazine every month.
If you're a man over 40, your prostate could be forcing you to urinate frequently, even disrupting your sleep multiple times each night. You're not alone. Over half of men over 40 experience age-related prostate concerns. Fortunately, prominent medical doctor David Brownstein believes that aging prostate concerns are not inevitable. That's why Dr. Brownstein developed Prostate Revive, an advanced dietary supplement containing a unique blend of 15 ingredients designed to promote optimal prostate health. So men, as part of this new radio promotion, you now have the opportunity to claim your own 30-day supply of Prostate Revive, containing saw palmetto, beta-cytosterol, and numerous other prostate helpers. Just cover a $4.95 shipping and handling charge. Plus, if you act now, you'll also get a doctor's guide to a healthy prostate as a bonus gift. Please visit prostaterevive.com/radio for details on getting your 30-day supply of Prostate Revive and free report. That's prostaterevive.com/radio. Do something about those annoying age-related prostate concerns. Visit prostaterevive.com/radio now while supplies last.
Drug, alcohol, and gambling addiction can be devastating for you and your loved ones. Don't let the disease of addiction ruin everything you've worked so hard for. The Treatment Helpline has helped thousands of people just like you take control of their addictions and live healthier, cleaner, and happier lives. You are not alone. Now there's hope. The Treatment Helpline has helped people just like you overcome their addiction. If you or a loved one is suffering from a drug, alcohol, or gambling addiction, let us help you today. Call 1-800-813-9821. Our seasoned addiction treatment professionals can show you how to use your private health insurance to help cover the costs of this life-changing program. Call now and get a free confidential consultation. 1-800-813-9821. That's 1-800-813-9821. Help is only a phone call away. Call 1-800-813-9821. That's 1-800-813-9821.
off the sidelines and be a part of the show. Call Steve toll-free at 1-877-NEWSMAX. That's 1-877-639-7629. Here is Steve Malzberg.
All right, folks, continuing with the news of the day, and that is the change in the rules in the Senate, the nuclear option opted for and instituted by Harry Reid and the Democrats. Joining us now, Susan Ferricchio, Chief Congressional Correspondent, Washington Examiner. Hi, Susan.
Hi, Steve.
So they did it, huh?
Yes, they did, and the timing is interesting, to say the least. But they went through with it. A lot of people were really shocked, but the writing seemed on the wall earlier this week when they rejected the Third Circuit Court judge nominee. And then Republicans seemed kind of resigned to it, like, well, we think they're going to do it this time. They threaten all the time, let them do it. That was their attitude. And they put up a little bit of a fight, but it seemed like it was just almost preordained this week it was going to happen. So it wasn't a huge shock, but overall the timing is interesting, and it suggests to some people that Democrats feel like they need to get as many judges through as they can and as many executive branch nominees through as they can, because they may not be able to do it after 2014 because of the political landscape looking like Republicans have a good shot at the majority.
Yeah, I mean, doesn't this just make it worse for Democrats? I mean, this can't be something that the American public will go for. Chuck Todd of NBC is saying this was done because of the activist base in the Democratic Party. They had to give him something because of the disappointment of Obamacare, the disaster there. So this was for pressure, long-time pressure on Harry Reid and the Democrats to do this from their activist base. I mean, the activist base isn't in sync with the rest of the country. I mean, I just see this as a losing issue. I mean, temporary gain, maybe even long-term gain when it comes to these judges who have lifetime appointments, but at what cost politically?
Well, again, I think looking at this, was it a practical matter or a political matter? It does political, but how so? That's the big question here. First of all, if Republicans have a good shot at the majority, that's a fact. So Democrats know that. But they may be calculating that even though they will be in the minority in the Senate, that a Democrat will hold on to the White House, thus protecting the Supreme Court and other judicial nominees from going slanting conservative. So you can look at it that way. There's also the argument that, they need to do something for the base. The rollout of the health care law is not going well. This gets everybody talking about something else for the immediate future. And it does definitely give something to people who feel like Republicans have been stopping them on key nominations. Not only is the judicial branch an area where Republicans have been able to hold up nominees, but the executive branch as well. Don't forget, they blocked several nominees this year, and that's resulted in the recess appointment of the NLRB head, and now we've got the holdup of Mel Watt. He's a representative from North Carolina. They want him to head the Federal Housing Agency. That's probably likely to go through now on an up or down vote. So Democrats can get a lot done in terms of moving nominees for the end of Obama's term. They may be banking on, hey, even if they lose the majority, they've got a clear shot at the White House if Hillary Clinton runs, thus protecting the Supreme Court. They do make calculations like this when they make decisions to change the rules, and I know that they were thinking about it.
Now, Susan, as far as you know, I had Orrin Hatch on, and he said that as far as he knew, this filibuster change applies to everything. He doesn't think so. And Candy Crowley on CNN alerted me to this. I happened to be watching her, and she said the president alluded to all this legislation, but she said, I don't think he understands that this doesn't apply right now to that kind of stuff, just the judicial nominees and the nominees for appointments.
Well, again, that depends who you ask. Republicans think that the rule itself should apply universally to both Supreme Court and lower nominees. Democrats believe they've carved out an exception for that. The question really is, what will happen if Republicans win the majority in the Senate and a Republican wins the White House? Sometime in the future there will be a need to fill a Supreme Court vacancy. what's going to happen. Are Republicans going to take that rule and apply it to the Supreme Court? Or are they going to say, or that, frankly, what they could do is just do another vote on changing the rules to the Supreme Court if they wanted to do that. I think you have to look at this in terms of what the long view is and a rules change like this. Is this just going to be a road to 51 votes for all legislation, nominees, everything? Or will one body move to protect the whole integrity of the institution again, move as quickly to the Senate as they do to the House? And this really destroys that and sends it on the road to big changes for how the whole body operates, for the whole nature of the Senate. So it just depends on what the majority moving forward wants to do. That includes the Republican majority, too. Are they going to try to, let's put it this way, if Republicans ever have the opportunity to move a Supreme Court nominee, and they do decide to use a 51-vote threshold, that pushes this whole thing further.
Absolutely.
The next time the Democrats are in charge, they try to do it on all bills. You could just change the whole nature of the Senate. That's why you have Republicans today talking about this day as a very pivotal moment.
Right. Susan, absolutely. Listen, I thank you very much for your time. We'll talk to you next week. Steve Malzberg, Susan Ferrecchio, Steve Malzberg Show.
Meet John and Nancy. Like many people, John and Nancy have spent their whole lives working hard, saving their money and investing wisely, knowing that it would pay off in the end. But the reality is, today's world is not the same as it was. John and Nancy's stocks have taken them on a serious roller coaster ride, and it's all but destroyed their retirement funds. Their house is not even close to being worth what they paid, and to boot, their middle-class paychecks no longer cover their costs. All that hard work and smart investing has gotten them nowhere. In fact, they are no longer thinking about when they will retire, they're wondering if they'll retire. Then one day, John and Nancy heard about a man named Tom Hutchison, a veteran of Wall Street for over 2 decades. Tom noticed that the wealthy invested differently than normal people, and their methods seemed to be a secret they didn't want to share. So Tom left his job, compiled the strategies, and published them in the controversial book, Powerful Secrets to Achieve Superior Returns. John and Nancy immediately picked up a copy, began investing, and never looked back. Thanks to Powerful Secrets, John and Nancy now have investments that pay up to 20% a year. They learned about unique tax-advantaged investments, and their favorite chapter revealed a strategy that anyone can use to turn $50,000 into $1 million. Now, John and Nancy have control of their financial future in this new reality, and they have peace of mind about their investments that they never had before. Best of all, they are back on track to a secure retirement. To get your free copy of the book, Powerful Secrets to Achieve Superior Returns, simply visit www.myfinancialage.org.
Hello and welcome to your Newsmax Now update. I'm John Bachman. John Kerry says the United States and Afghanistan have come to an agreement that would govern relations between the U.S. military and the Afghan government for years to come, and some might say forever.
I'm pleased to say that in a series of conversations with President Karzai in the course of this morning, even interrupting some of our conversations, that we reached an agreement as to the final language of the bilateral security agreement.
The deal structures how a long-term relationship between the U.S. and Afghanistan will look. Included in those terms, Washington will pay to train and equip Afghan security forces. The deal also establishes the groundwork for keeping armed American outposts in the country. That deal would extend to 2024 and beyond. It would effectively start a new phase in the seemingly never-ending war in Afghanistan. Kerry said the deal would be presented to influential tribal leaders later today. And the Senate voted today to weaken the filibuster rules, which will make it tougher for the GOP to block President Obama's nominees for key posts. Some are calling this the nuclear option. The move was spurred by Democrats' frustration over what they see as a pattern of obstruction on the part of the GOP. Recent judicial nominees appointed by President Obama have been blocked by filibusters. Spearheaded by Majority Leader Harry Reid, the move would eliminate the use of the filibuster against nominees to certain cabinet posts and judicial posts. Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren says Democrats had no choice but to do this.
They're saying they don't want this president to nominate anyone to fill those vacancies. They are blocking him from exercising his responsibilities.
The move, which passed along party lines, goes against nearly 225 years of precedent. And Congressman Trey Riddell of Florida will be taking a leave of absence after pleading guilty to a misdemeanor charge of cocaine possession. The Florida congressman says he let down his country, his family, and Southwest Florida, where he represents that district.
I hope to come out of this a stronger man, a better man for all of you.
Riddell, 37, plans to immediately start inpatient treatment for substance abuse. He said he has been dealing with the disease on and off for years. He first came on the radar of federal authorities during an undercover sting operation. Riddell will donate his salary to charity while he is on leave. And talks are underway in Geneva right now between 6 world powers and Iran over its nuclear program. The U.S. and its allies are seeking to limit Iran's ability to enrich uranium. Iran wants relief from economic sanctions. Both sides believe a deal is possible, but Iran's supreme leader says the country will not step back one iota from its nuclear rights. Coming up next on our Newsmax Now update, an exclusive with former UN Ambassador John Bolton. Plus, what happens when an emergency slide inflates while the plane is in mid-air.
This is the worst weather we've seen in quite some time, folks, and I don't see any end in sight. People have been calling in from across the state complaining their basements are flooding. One guy said he now has an indoor swimming pool in his basement. I told him he needs the waterproofing innovations from Basement Systems. If you want a dry basement or crawl space that will weather any kind of storm, you need the patented solutions from Basement Systems. You've seen them on home makeover shows throughout the country. With a lifetime warranty, every solution is custom designed for your basement. You can finally have that room you've always wanted with our total basement finishing system. Call now for a free estimate, and you'll never have to worry about storms like these again.
Call now for your free basement inspection at 800-516-9794, 800-516-9794. Learn how to waterproof your basement now. Call this number, 800-516-9794, 800-516-9794.
Are payday loans ruining your life? If you have 2 or more payday loan cash advances, listen closely. You may be eligible for a program that payday loan companies don't want you to know about.
This program will get payday loan companies out of your bank account and put an end to the payday loan nightmare. Call for free information and find out if Payday Loan Support Center is right for you. Payday loan companies usually trap you into paying rates as high as 700%. We understand payday lenders' tactics. Don't let them take advantage of you anymore. All you need is 2 or more payday loans to qualify. We can help even if you're behind in collections or have bad credit.
Internet payday loans qualify for this program as well. So call 800-250-5084. That's 800-250-5084. The call is free and the consultation is free. Don't miss out. Call for your free information on payday loan relief. 800-250-5084. That's 800-250-5084. Again, 800-250-5084.
Welcome back. A JetBlue plane was forced to make an emergency landing after an evacuation slide partially deployed mid-flight inside the fuselage. The plane was on its way from Fort Myers, Florida to Boston and was forced to make an unscheduled landing at the Orlando International Airport. Officials said the flight, which was carrying 74 passengers and 4 crew members, landed safely. No one was injured, but passengers did say that slide knocked a flight attendant down and created quite a scare. I bet it did. And former UN Ambassador John Bolton tells Newsmax during an exclusive interview that despite desperate efforts by the Obama administration, a deal with Iran over its nuclear weapons program would only give the country more time to develop a bomb.
The program is too close to its objective of deliverable nuclear weapons. Iran wants relief from the sanctions. I think that's perfectly understandable, but not at the price of giving up their nuclear weapons program.
And that's going to do it for this edition of your Newsmax Now update.
Broadcasting live from the Newsmax studios, this is the Steve Malzberg Show. Be a part of the action by calling toll-free 1-877-NEWSMAX. That's 1-877-639-7629. Or email Steve at malzbergshow@newsmax.com. Here is Steve Malzberg.
All right, it is hour number 2 of the Big Steve Malzberg Show, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. And this is where you should be every day, right here, from 3 to 6 p.m. Eastern Time, of course, noon to 3 Pacific Time. And whether you're watching Newsmax TV or on one of our fine affiliates, and of course, if you find yourself in front of the computer and want to do both or check out the video, it's newsmaxtv.com, newsmaxtv.com. We are planning to speak with Pastor Mark Driscoll, and he is the founding pastor of Mars Hill Church in Seattle, Washington, one of the world's most downloaded and quoted pastors. And he has a brand new book, which when I saw the title, just the title alone, I couldn't resist in reaching out to him to get him on the show. A Call to Resurgence. Will Christianity Have a Future or a Funeral? And it's a very provocative title, very provocative book, and we're efforting making contact with the pastor right now. Coming up a little bit later, Fred Fleitz, chief analyst and founder of Lignet, will join us, and we will be talking about us at the bottom of the hour to talk about the nuclear option invoked by the Democrats in the Senate earlier today. We've already talked about it with Donald Trump, with Orrin Hatch, with Andy McCarthy, and with Susan Ferrecchio. So if you missed that first hour, that's a big hour you missed, folks. Don't ever let that happen again. And you could check out the archives. We'll be there. Also, George Vesey of the New York Times, he will join us to discuss yesterday here in New York, banging the table, kicking over a an attaché case or some such thing, and then marching right to the studios of WFAN Sports Radio here in New York and going on the Mike Francesa show and talking about how ticked off he was that the commissioner, Bud Selig, will not be required to testify at the arbitration hearing over the suspension, the 211-game suspension. Now, I believe it's true that since the collective bargaining agreement has had drugs and prohibited substances in place, there's never been a commissioner present in any of these hearings, but there's never been a 211-game suspension. Now, I'm no fan of A-Rod, and I think all of his records, in my opinion, should go out the window. If you did it to McGuire, if you did it to Sosa, if you did it to Bonds, you got to do it to A-Rod, okay? So we'll talk to George Vesey about that. In the meantime, while we appear to be having no luck getting in touch with the pastor at this point, let's let you hear. Did you see Michelle Obama? Michelle Obama in an interview on BET, Black Entertainment Television, I believe is what it stands for, talking to, you ready? Bow Wow. Bow Wow. And Keisha Chante. I could say Chanty, but I'm assuming it's Chante because it sounds classier. I don't know. Could be wrong. And here's First Lady Michelle Obama. You ever wonder why Obama's late to all these press conferences? You ever wonder why he doesn't know anything about anything? Turns out the guy is constantly doing something. Let's hit cut 25.
Question number 2.
Question number 2.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how awesome was it when the president started singing Let's Stay Together? Al Green. That was pretty awesome. I mean, he's got a pretty good voice.
He does.
I always say, my husband's got swag, you know?
Uh-oh. Yes, Michelle.
He's got a little swag.
He definitely does.
Yeah, no, it was really sweet. But he sings all the time.
Oh,
yeah, he's in the bathroom all the time, just singing. He's always willing to sing. He's like, you want me to sing that? Want me to sing something for you? But he's got a good voice, so that was very sweet.
Yeah, could you imagine it? See, you know, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I just don't see him going around. Oh, you want me to sing for you? Oh, you want me to sing for you? Oh, should I sing this for you? I just don't see it. I just don't see it. It's not him, okay? He's not a happy-go-lucky, personable, warm guy. Now, she didn't say he's in the shower singing. She said he's in the bathroom all the time. That's what she said. Michelle Obama said the president's in the bathroom all the time. I'm not saying this. She didn't say he sings in the shower. She says he's in the bathroom all the time singing. and then looking around for an audience after that. So if you wonder why every single press conference this guy can't show up on time, if you wonder why he knows nothing about nothing, and no one could tell him anything, if we believe him, he didn't know about this, he didn't know about that, and he didn't know about the other thing. Not this, that, or the other thing did he know anything about. Michelle tells us he's in the bathroom all the time, singing. Now, if you want to believe that, you can't label me, baby, a racist, or you can't come after me with this loony left. I didn't say it. I didn't say the president's lazy. The president volunteered it to Barbara Walters. The president at a debate, primary debate, Democratic debate in 2008, volunteered that, you know what? If you're going to give, my staff knows if they're going to give me an important piece of paper, important document, they better give it to me 2 seconds before I need it. My desk is a mess. I'm unorganized. So he's unorganized, he's messy, he can't keep things, he's lazy, and he's always in the bathroom. I didn't say any of those things. I'm repeating what he and Michelle have said publicly. I'm sorry. I'm sorry if you don't dig it. You don't dig it. That's not my problem. All right. Let's find something else good for you here. Is this Al Sharpton? I don't know. Is that? Let's see. I'll find the Al Sharpton cut, which I believe might be this one right here. Yes. This will be cut 18. And Al Sharpton, ladies and gentlemen, once again with this nonsense saying that the Republicans are rooting for the Obamacare to fail. Here's cut 18.
They are actively rooting for failure. Congresswoman Michelle Bachmann smells opportunity.
I think we have an opportunity of a lifetime right now because just as Jeff said, we are watching liberalism crumble in front of our eyes. What we have is the fantasy thinking of what Obamacare was going to be versus reality.
Now, denying health care to millions who need it is the opportunity of a lifetime. How's that for a Republican campaign ad? But the reality is the Affordable Care Act is now starting to work across the country.
It is? Oh, Al. Oh, Fantasyland Al. I guess he didn't see Kathleen Sebelius herself at an event yesterday to sign people up. And here's what happened. This would be cut number 21, Al.
It's been a long time coming.
The screen says, I'm sorry, your system is temporarily down.
Well, it's okay. It'll come back. That happens every day.
Yeah, I mean, we got...
We're ready.
Okay.
I mean, if you hear that carefully, ladies, I mean, the hits just keep on coming. The website went down when she was doing a public event to push for it, Angela. You can't make it up.
You can't make it up. Al Sharpton could make it up. Here she is. She testifies before Congress and says the website never crashed. And if you went to the website at that time, it said website crashed. Here she's at an event trying to sign people up, and the website was down. And the woman says, it's okay. It happens every day. Oh, it'll come back, she says. It'll come back. And Al Sharpton says, and the Affordable Health Care Act is improving every day. Really, Al? I mean, come on. I mean, again, with the sky is green and the grass is blue, just enough. Where's the credibility? I'm not even looking for objectivity. I'm looking for credibility. Who do you think you're talking to? Do you have such a lack of respect for your audience that you think they're gonna say, "Oh yeah, it is getting better. Oh yeah, everything's good"? I mean, are you crazy, Al? All right, folks. When we come back, as I mentioned, we will be joined by Fred Fleitz. Talk a little Iran. We'll get the pastor back another day. I really want to talk to him about his book here on the Steve Malzberg Show, Newsmax TV and radio.
The Steve
Meet John and Nancy. Like many people, John and Nancy have spent their whole lives working hard, saving their money and investing wisely, knowing that it would pay off in the end. But the reality is, today's world is not the same as it was. John and Nancy's stocks have taken them on a serious roller coaster ride, and it's all but destroyed their retirement funds. Their house is not even close to being worth what they paid, and to boot, their middle-class paychecks no longer cover their costs. All that hard work and smart investing has gotten them nowhere. Then one day, John and Nancy heard about a man named Tom Hutchison, a veteran of Wall Street for over 2 decades. Tom noticed that the wealthy invested differently than normal people, and their methods seemed to be a secret they didn't want to share. So Tom left his job, compiled the strategies, and published them in the controversial book, Powerful Secrets to Achieve Superior Returns. John and Nancy immediately picked up a copy, began investing, and never looked back. Thanks to Powerful Secrets, John and Nancy now have investments that pay up to 20% a year. They learned about unique tax-advantaged investments, and their favorite chapter revealed a strategy that anyone can use to turn $50,000 into $1 million. Now, John and Nancy have control of their financial future in this new reality, and they have peace of mind about their investments that they never had before. Best of all, they are back on track to a secure retirement. To get your free copy of the book, Powerful Secrets to Achieve Superior Returns, simply visit www.myfinancialage.org.
I used to sleep like a baby. Now I have to get up in the middle of the night just to go to the bathroom. And not just once.
Men, if you suffer from frequent urination, the inability to empty your bladder, a hesitant urine stream, or leaking due to an aging prostate, listen to this. Renowned physician Dr. David Brownstein believes this does not need to be an inevitable part of aging. After extensive research, Dr. Brownstein has recently developed Prostate Revive, the dietary supplement specifically formulated to help improve and sustain normal prostate function. And now you can receive a 30-day supply of Prostate Revive. Just cover a $4.95 shipping fee. For complete details, visit prostaterevive.com/offer. Act now, and you'll also be given instant access to our downloadable special report, A Doctor's Guide to a Healthy Prostate. Learn how you can try Prostate Revive for 30 days at prostaterevive.com/offer. Hurry, limited time offer. That's prostaterevive.com/offer.
Tired of calls, levies, and liens from the IRS or hiring others who don't get the job done? Call Wall & Associates and you'll never talk to the IRS again. The IRS has a program to eliminate tax debt, and Wall & Associates professionals are trained to maximize its benefits for you. You always speak with a live person with real support and real knowledge. We've helped thousands of taxpayers like you settle their tax debt with the IRS for a fraction of what they owe. We solve tax problems. Call Wall & Associates now. 800-574-6029. We have the professionals who know how to solve tax problems. If you owe money to the IRS, your tax problems are not going away by themselves, and the passage of time will only make matters worse. Act now, before it's too late. Call Wall & Associates right now to speak to a professional tax relief agent. Call 800-574-6029. That's 800-574-6029. Again, 800-574-6029.
Breaking news and breaking hearts. Aww. This is the Steve Malzberg Show.
All right, folks, welcome back to the Steve Malzberg Show, as we are joined right now by our good friend, chief analyst and founder of LIGNET, Langley Intelligence Group Network, 25-year CIA, DIA veteran. Fred Fleich joins us. Hi, Fred.
Hey, Steve.
Good to talk to you.
Good to be here.
Well, I got to tell you, every day I see dribs and drabs of more talks, no more talks. Talks are in trouble. Talks are going to take off. France is behind them. France is going to put the kibosh on them. But I am just praying very hard that we don't sell out our allies, including Israel, in the Middle East, and sell ourselves out by acquiescing and, as you put it in your piece that appeared on National Review online, defining compliance down when it comes to an agreement with Iran.
I think that's right, Steve, but there is some good news, and that is the Iran stuff is good for business for LIGNET. If you want to get a good analysis of the international security question, LIGNET's a place to go, and it's really, we're getting a lot of subscribers.
Good.
Steve, what we're seeing today in Geneva in these talks with Iran is that it appears that the Iranians don't like the deal that's being offered them by the West. And in terms of Western interests in Israel and Middle East security, it's a terrible deal, but the Iranians want more. We may be in the situation where the Iranians are going to save us from ourselves.
Okay, how so?
Well, this deal is based on a number of faulty premises. The most important one concerns uranium enrichment. The hardest thing about making a nuclear bomb is making nuclear fuel. And the jump from natural uranium to reactor grade is a difficult one. The jump from reactor grade to 20% uranium-235, that's the type of uranium that you need for nuclear reaction, is a small jump. It's also a small jump from 20% to 90% weapons grade. The Obama administration, since they could not get the Iranians to agree to give up all their enriched uranium, which is called for in 6 Security Council resolutions, they decided to redefine the terms of the debate and said, well, just get rid of your 20% uranium because the reactor-grade uranium is not a significant threat. Untrue. Untrue. There's at least 3 major studies by the American Enterprise Institute, the Institute for Science and International Security, and the Nonproliferation Policy Education Center that says the Iranians can make a nuclear weapon, enough fuel for 1 nuclear weapon, in about 2 months, maybe a week or 2 less, using either form of uranium. But the Obama administration is prepared to let them keep their reactor-grade uranium because they're falsely claiming it is not a serious threat. And I know a number of people, including Ambassador John Bolton and other experts, trying to get the word out. This is just not right. Now, unfortunately, this is sort of a central premise for these negotiations. But fortunately, the Iranians want even more, and it may stop a bad deal from coming about.
All right, but you ask in your column, and then you go on to answer it. So how did we get to this point? If reactor-grade uranium is such a serious nuclear proliferation threat, then why would the United States and the other nations involved in the talks give the green light?
Since Mr. Obama became president, he desperately wanted a deal with Iran. And a deal became impossible last year because the Iranians had produced almost 11 tons of enriched uranium and built almost 18,000 centrifuge machines to produce it. And given that they'd created so many facts on the ground, an agreement wasn't possible. So to get an agreement, they decided to change the terms of the debate. And I think right now the reason that the Obama administration is so desperate for a deal with Iran is because they're in such difficult political straits at home due to Obamacare. They want to deal very badly. They want to have a signing ceremony with Secretary Kerry, maybe President Obama, to distract the American people from this disaster that is Obamacare. And to do that, as I said, they had to redefine the terms of the debate.
Yeah, and they've done it. We're talking to Fred Fleich, chief analyst and founder of LigNet, here on the Steve Malzberg Show. Of course, lignet.com is where you could go. So what do you think the outcome will be? I mean, is it going to be the French who are going to nix this deal, or are they going to acquiesce? And will the United States do something even if the French say no?
Well, there's several things going on. First of all, Ali Khamenei, the supreme leader of Iran, the man who really runs Iran, said some violent, evil things about the state of Israel over the last 24 hours. He's pretty upset at criticism of the negotiations by the Israelis. He thinks the French are fronting for the Israelis in the talks, which is just ridiculous. It looks to me like hardliners in Iran are pressing for a deal that even the Obama administration and its European allies can't support. I think the French are getting nervous about the direction of the negotiations. 2 weeks ago, the French stopped progress on these talks, but I think the French did not go far enough. There's also incredible pressure on the president from the Senate. There's 2 letters from senators that are demanding that the United States has to do one basic thing in these talks: make Iran abide by existing Security Council resolutions. What the Obama administration is doing is throwing those resolutions away just to get a deal.
And of course, the administration has been pressuring senators who want to not only keep the sanctions, but tighten the sanctions. And, you know, when Susan Rice comes out and says, oh, we're not talking about, you know, $40 billion or whatever the amount of money is to loosen up the sanctions. I mean, how could you believe anything this administration says when we know now that, according to a whistleblower, the unemployment numbers were cooked right before the 2012 election, and the lies that were told on Obamacare. And so when Susan Rice comes out and says, oh, no, we have no intention of doing this or that when it comes to sanctions, How could you believe them?
You can. And in this instance, they're trying to rewrite nuclear physics. The fact is that reactor-grade uranium is just as dangerous as the other type of uranium, and they're just pretending that it isn't, and a lot of people in the media aren't looking into it. Robert Menendez, the chairman of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, co-signed a letter with a Republican attacking these talks. I think that there's real trouble in the Senate over what's going on here, but I agree with you. It's hard to take this administration seriously, especially on foreign policy.
Would the Senate have to okay any deal that's reached or not?
Unfortunately not.
No,
It
I didn't think
probably
so,
won't
yeah.
be a treaty that needs to be,
Right,
to be ratified.
right.
But, I mean, how much political capital does the president want to give up for a deal that his own party may not support?
Doesn't matter. He could do whatever he wants by executive order. They just got rid of the filibuster. Hugo Chavez is looking up from hell and smiling pretty.
I think that's right.
Fred, thank you so much for your time and your expertise, and everyone should check out Lignet, lignet.com. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. That's Fred Fleitz, ladies and gentlemen, chief analyst and founder of Lignet, 25 years in the CIA, DIA. When we come back, John Lott will be here. Now, he wrote a book called Dumbing Down the Courts and how politics keeps the smartest judges off the bench. Well, now we have the filibuster done away with, basically, for judicial appointees or nominees. We'll talk about it with him on the Steve Malzberg Show, Newsmax TV and radio.
Meet John and Nancy. Like many people, John and Nancy have spent their whole lives working hard, saving their money and investing wisely, knowing that it would pay off in the end. But the reality is, today's world is not the same as it was. John and Nancy's stocks have taken them on a serious roller coaster ride, and it's all but destroyed their retirement funds. Their house is not even close to being worth what they paid, and to boot, their middle-class paychecks. In fact, they are no longer thinking about when they will retire, they're wondering if they'll retire. Named Tom Hutchison, a veteran of Wall Street for over 2 decades. Tom noticed that the wealthy invested differently than normal people, and their methods seemed to be a secret they didn't want to share. So Tom left his job, compiled the strategies, and published them in the controversial book, Powerful Secrets to Achieve Superior Returns. John and Nancy immediately picked up a copy, began investing, and never looked back. Thanks to Powerful Secrets, John and Nancy now have investments that pay up to 20% a year. They learned about unique tax-advantaged investments, and their favorite chapter revealed a strategy that anyone can use to turn $50,000 into $1 million. Now, John and Nancy have control of their financial future in this new reality, and they have peace of mind about their investments that they never had before. Best of all, they are back on track to a secure retirement. To get your free copy of the book, Powerful Secrets to Achieve Superior Returns, simply visit www.myfinancialage.org.
Are you at least 62 years old like me? Could you use an extra $50,000, $100,000 or more to live a better life? Then please consider the benefits a reverse mortgage can provide to you. With a reverse mortgage, you can have your mortgage payments stopped altogether and get equity out of your home to live on. And you can use the money to help you live a better life. How nice would that be, not to have a mortgage payment? Qualifying for a reverse mortgage is simple, since there are no income, asset, employment, or credit requirements. However, you must be 62 years or older, own your home outright, or have a very low balance on the mortgage, and be prepared to live in it throughout the rest of the loan. Call now for more information.
800-831-1560. 800-831-1560. 800-831-1560. That's 800-831-1560.
If you're a man over 40, your prostate could be forcing you to urinate frequently, even disrupting your sleep multiple times each night. You're not alone. Over half of men over 40 experience age-related prostate concerns. Fortunately, prominent medical doctor David Brownstein believes that aging prostate concerns are not inevitable. That's why Dr. Brownstein developed Prostate Revive, an advanced dietary supplement containing a unique blend of 15 ingredients designed to promote optimal prostate health. So men, as part of this new radio promotion, you now have the opportunity to claim your own 30-day supply of Prostate Revive, containing saw palmetto, beta-cytosterol, and numerous other prostate helpers. Just cover a $4.95 shipping and handling charge. Plus, if you act now, you'll also get a doctor's guide to a healthy prostate as a bonus gift. Please visit prostaterevive.com/radio for details on getting your 30-day supply of Prostate Revive and free report. That's prostaterevive.com/radio. Do something about those annoying age-related prostate concerns. Visit prostaterevive.com/radio now while supplies last.
While supplies last. themetabio.com/special.
This is not your typical Screamfest talk show.
No.
This is the next generation of talk radio. Here is Steve Malzberg.
Yes, indeed, he do. And by the way, the supreme leader of Iran, the man that we're going to be trusting if we sign a deal, you heard Fred Fleitz allude to when he was being interviewed earlier in the last segment that they have just said some very unflattering things about Israel. Well, one of the things that he called Israel was a dog. Now, it just, am I surprised? No, John Kerry and Barack Obama probably whispering in his ear, yeah, dirty dog. You left out dirty dog. How? How on earth do you make a deal with a country that is still killing your own soldiers in Afghanistan? Still doing it. Has blood on their hands dating back decades. And is calling the country that used to be your main ally. That's what this country's come to. And that's foreign policy. You know what happened today domestically, and we talk right now and joined by our friend John Lott, of course, economist, columnist, and author of Dumbing Down the Courts, How Politics Keeps the Smartest Judges Off the Bench. Hello, John.
Hey, how you doing?
Oh, my gosh. How could you ask that question?
It's pretty depressing.
Oh, no matter where you look, no matter where you turn your head, it's our way of life, whether it's our strength, our foreign policy, our rights, the way we do business in the Senate now, it's over.
Yeah, I have to say, last fall, when the unemployment numbers came out and they were showing the improvement, I got calls from some people in the media, and I said, it's just impossible. I can't believe somebody would go and doctor those, because you can't keep that quiet. Eventually it would come out. And to go and have it so that the government would be actually falsifying the unemployment numbers, I just thought that would bring down an administration just by itself. But, it's just one more story added on and everything else right now.
No, it didn't even get any coverage. They're more interested in the mayor of Toronto. They didn't care what Crudell wrote in the New York Post. He has documentation. He has the guy on the record. He has the guy's name, the man who said he did it, and nobody cares.
Yeah, well, as I say, I just found it impossible to believe that something would happen. That's what I told the press in the fall, just because it seemed to me that the fallout would destroy anybody. But, I was wrong on both counts.
Yeah, all right, let's talk about this. You wrote the book. We had John. Great book, great points, great information. And now we have this nuclear option, which has been talked about. We have Barack Obama in 2006, I think, saying that they better not, the Republicans better not do the nuclear option. We have Joe Biden on tape, which I haven't played yet, saying that when he was a senator, saying that he hopes that the Democrats, when they're in the majority, never blow up the Senate and use the nuclear option because it's a power grab. And now, of course, Harry Reid has done it. What is this going to mean? Go ahead. I'm ready for more bad news. What is this going to mean for the D.C. court that they're trying to stock? I mean, there's no way to stop them from stocking it now, right?
No, it's just not the D.C. court. It's going to be all the court appointments, and you're going to have a lot more extreme nominees than we've had so far. Look, it's just hilarious. I mean, you talk about quotes 8-9 years apart. The president can't even keep quotes 2 weeks apart consistent. Today he's talking about how unusual and the obstruction has been by the Republicans. Just a couple weeks ago at a fundraiser in Texas, he was bragging about remaking the courts. He was talking about how, in addition to the Supreme Court, we've been able to nominate and confirm judges of extraordinary quality all across the country on federal benches. We've actually, when it comes to district court, matching the pace of previous presidents. When it comes to the appellate court, we're just a little bit behind, and we're just going to have to keep focusing on it. I mean, to be honest, when you look at it, he has been much better at getting people on the court than George Bush had. George Bush got 72% of his appointments to the circuit court confirmed. Obama's gotten 85% during his first term confirmed. And today he's talking about how nobody's had such a difficult time getting judges confirmed to the courts, and yet you have this statement just a couple weeks ago where
he bragged,
and but what's going to happen is during the Bush administration they just refused to confirm people, and so there were these empty seats that came in when Obama became president, and now they're just going to be able to appoint people to all sorts of positions, and he already has appointed over half the judiciary. And, there's going to be no president in modern history that's appointed such a large share of judges as Obama's going to be able to appoint by the end of his term.
We're talking to John Lott. Yeah, that's a very scary thought. Very, very scary. Now, we had Andy McCarthy on earlier, and he said that, of course, if the House and the Congress wanted to go down this road, and I don't think they would anyway, but I don't think they will now, especially because they feel they have the upper hand heading into midterms with the healthcare debacle. But certainly these courts don't have to exist, don't need to exist, and have no right to exist. It's all pre-dependent upon whether or not they're funded by the Congress, and the Congress could cut off the funding for these courts. But like I said, that would involve another government shutdown, and that would possibly make them the villain, and I don't think they're going to go that route.
Yeah, I mean, that would be very difficult and costly to shut down whole courts. But look, I mean, you look at these guys that Obama's been putting on there, the ones that there's been these filibusters, and they're pretty left-wing. She's a law professor at Georgetown. She thinks that the anti-discrimination laws, the federal discrimination laws, should apply to religious organizations' selection of who their religious leaders are. So if you are a Catholic church and you have male priests, she seems to think that that's a federal discrimination issue.
It is insane. And then, of course, if he could get the Supreme Court, if he could get another one or two on the Supreme Court or tip the balance there.
Well, just one. Just one. I mean,
yeah. Well, that's right. It would have to be the right one. I mean, to tip the balance, and then all these lunatics who will be there for life will have Obama's policies in place, and there'll be nothing we could do about it. It's just insane.
Well, you have Scalia and Kennedy are going to be over 80 years of age at the end of the Obama administration. There's a good chance that they won't make it till then, at least one of the two. And, of course, if the Democrats win the presidency, it's extremely unlikely that these guys are going to make it to their mid to late 80s.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And when it comes to pressure, there are a lot of people who ask me the question, and I'll just repeat it to you. The question is, what did Obama have on Justice Roberts, to get him to change his vote? And I say, I have no idea. Anything is possible in this administration, and, I wouldn't put it past anything that I find out that they did to get someone to retire or get someone to change or get someone off the bench. Nothing would shock me.
Yeah, well, it's sad that we even talk about these things, but, when you have the government spying on everybody.
That's it.
I suppose, I can't even believe. Look, 10 years ago, the things that we're beginning to just accept, people would think you were nuts to even go and say that the government was collecting this massive data on individuals and going through. I mean, we have court cases for people for drug offenses which are picked up from the NSA. The NSA goes and gives the Drug Enforcement Administration information, and they use would not let Bush fill a lot of vacancies
Right.
that he had. Now they're just going to flood him with theirs.
And one could also argue that the Republicans are being punished for their civility, their past civility.
Yeah. Well, it's on so many different levels. It's just not the number of appointments that you've had, but it's also been the quality of appointments. One of the things that I show in Dumbing Down the Courts is that both parties have made it more difficult for the brightest nominees to get confirmed, but it's particularly been the Democrats who have fought hardest against the brightest Republican nominees more than Republicans have fought against the brightest Democrats. And so, the imbalance that you see in terms of the numbers is that understates the imbalance, because kind of the intellectual firepower that you're going to see kind of below the Supreme Court is basically the Democrats have many of the brightest people on the court.
Yeah. All right, John, listen, thank you for taking the time, and let's think of some better news to talk about next time.
Yeah, no, it's a sad day for the country.
It certainly is. Thank you. John Lott, economist, columnist, author of Dumbing Down the Courts, How Politics Keeps the Smartest Judges Off the Bench. I don't know what to say. I mean, when you ask your guest, what could we do? And there's nothing we could do. And he says, yeah, it's pretty bad. And we're talking about the courts. We're talking about our way of life being changed, being dictated to by a radical leftist bench. A radical leftist bench stocked with radical leftist judges put in by a radical leftist president, and there's no check or balance to stop it now. In an unprecedented fashion, there'll be no way for the Senate to say, are you kidding me? This guy's out of his mind. This woman is wacko. This woman or this man does not comply with what the Constitution says. You can't do this. You can't do that. Who's going to stop them? The Democrats will vote in lockstep. They need 51, have a couple of stragglers, and they'll stock it like they've been stocking it. Folks, we are in desperate, desperate trouble. This is taking place. This is taking place before our eyes, but so much is taking place that we don't even see, we don't even know about. I keep telling you who's on Homeland Security assignments and Department of Homeland Security, I should say, who has assignments at DHS. Their policies, what they've written, what they've done, who they are, their radical beliefs. I mean, the Van Joneses of the world, holy mackerel. And how do you stop it? When the Senate process is blown up by the Democrats, what do you do? All right, we're coming back. Steve Malzberg Show. A-Rod, George Vesey, New York Times. Steve Malzberg Show on Newsmax TV and radio.
Meet John and Nancy. They've spent their lives working hard and saving money, knowing that it would pay off in the end. But unfortunately, all that hard work and smart investing has gotten them nowhere. Then one day, John and Nancy picked up a free copy of Powerful Secrets to Achieve Superior Returns. This book revealed 24 little-known investments that put them back on track to a happy and secure retirement. Get your free copy of Powerful Secrets at myfinancialage.org.
Hi, this is Mike Reagan. You need to watch out, because thousands of new Obamacare rules are currently being implemented, and few know what the law says or does. Listen to what Senator Max Baucus, one of the authors of the Obamacare law, recently said.
I tell you, I just see a huge train wreck coming down, and I don't see any results yet. I just see a huge train wreck.
He's right. So protect yourself from this train wreck. Get the #1 bestseller, The Obamacare Survival Guide. Newsmax says it's the best guide to the new law. Join more than 500,000 Americans who have their copy. Get the Obamacare Survival Guide at bookstores everywhere, or get our special $4.95 offer and save $15 off the cover price by going now to Obamacare911.com. That's Obamacare911.com. That's Obamacare911.com.
Do you owe the IRS? Do you have unfiled tax returns? Have you received a wage garnishment or bank levy? Maybe a lien has been filed against you. OMG Tax can help you with all your IRS tax problems. Don't wait another second. Take action now. Call my team at OMG Tax. Honest and professional, we don't make false promises. If you owe back taxes, or if the IRS is garnishing your paycheck, you need help now. OMG Tax can help you get your life back to normal. If you're serious about handling your tax matter, call OMG Tax now and get the peace of mind you deserve. Don't let the IRS take your next paycheck. Stop waiting and call our team at OMG Tax. OMG Tax has a straightforward, no-nonsense approach and has helped many Americans resolve their IRS nightmare. Call OMG Tax now.
Call 1-800-255-6485. That's 1-800-255-6485. 800-255-6485.
Do you suffer from joint discomfort? Contrary to what the experts may say, achy joints do not have to be a normal part of aging. Holistic doctor David Brownstein challenged conventional thinking to focus on natural solutions for joint health. As a result, Dr. Brownstein has recently developed Limbex, the premium nutritional supplement specifically formulated to support healthy joints and connective tissue. It's a new joint breakthrough formula containing 11 hand-picked nutrients. Learn more at limbexjoint.com/special and take the 30-day Healthy Joint Challenge. That's a 30-day supply of the Limbex Joint Supplement. All you pay is a $4.95 shipping fee. Act now and you'll also be given instant access to our downloadable special report, A Doctor's Guide to Happy, Healthy Joints at Any Age. You can do something about joint discomfort and flexibility. Learn how you can try it for 30 days at limbexjoint.com/special. That's LIMBEX joint.com/special. limbexjoint.com/special.
Tired of calls, levies, and liens from the IRS or hiring others who don't get the job done? Call Wall & Associates and you'll never talk to the IRS again. The IRS has a program to eliminate tax debt, and Wall & Associates professionals are trained to maximize its benefits for you. You always speak with a live person with real support and real knowledge. We've helped thousands of taxpayers like you settle their tax debt with the IRS for a fraction of what they owe. We solve tax problems. Call Wall & Associates now. 800-574-6029. We have the professionals who know how to solve tax problems. If you owe money to the IRS, your tax problems are not going away by themselves, and the passage of time will only make matters worse. Act now, before it's too late. Call Wall & Associates right now to speak to a professional tax relief agent. Call 800-574-6029. That's 800-574-6029. Again, 800-574-6029.
In 2013, half of your friends, family, and neighbors may lose their jobs, all while you are robbed of 90% of your life savings, investments, and home's value. Controversial economist Robert Wiedemer, who was the only expert to predict the recession, has released a startling video with shocking evidence that the powers that be have tried to ban. But that hasn't stopped 50 million people from getting the truth. Watch it at aftbook.com. That's aftbook.com.
100-634-0482.
The Steve Malzberg Show is just a bit different from the other radio shows. We have TV cameras. Watch the show at Newsmax.com or listen on your favorite radio station. Here's Steve Malzberg.
I lost my mind. I banged the table and kicked a briefcase and slammed out of the room and just felt like this system, I knew it was restricted and I knew it wasn't fair, but what we saw today is just, it was disgusting. He doesn't have the courage to come look at me in the eye and tell me this is why I did 211. I shouldn't serve one inning.
Ladies and gentlemen, that A-Rod comment from Mike Francesa's radio show on WFAN here in New York. We're joined right now by our friend George Vesey, sports columnist, best-selling author at the New York Times. Hello, George.
Steve, how are you doing?
I am fine. Thank you for taking the time. I appreciate it.
Keeping up on A-Rod?
I am keeping up on A-Rod.
One of the prayer meetings?
Yeah, well, I was going to bring that up. Of course, there was a Hispanic or Latino group held a prayer vigil outside the arbitration hearings today in New York City for A-Rod, which is so bizarre. I don't know where to start.
Well, I guess you could start with A-Rod's lawyers. I would guess that the prayer meeting outside the baseball headquarters, outside the hearing, are probably just as orchestrated as A-Rod storming out on Wednesday. He's not going to do that if his lawyer hasn't approved it. I think A-Rod is a pretty cunning guy. I don't think he does things that are stupid, but I don't think he does things that are impulsive. When it comes down to this, he does have a sense of what his side needs to do. And I'm sure the lawyer said, Alex, great idea, throw a tantrum, go home and see your kids. You don't need to be here. It's good theater. Get some people on your side.
Well, he didn't go home to see his kids. He went home to see Mike Francesa.
Well, yeah. While he was waiting for, the same thing.
Right, orchestrated. But now, interesting that Francesa asked him, we have the cup, but for time's sake, did you ever do performance-enhancing drugs? You ever do steroids? You ever cheat? You ever? But no. Now, he's not under oath, so he could say what he wants, and he lied to Katie Couric, I believe. So, is that meaningless, or was there any ground made there or broken there?
Well, I think it's significant. I mean, Mike's a big-time guy, and I can understand why A-Rod would go there to get his story out in the best sports venue, talk radio that on a station. So I can see him doing that. But on the other hand, he ultimately is in the law and the profession that he's in, the rules that he's been playing by. He can sue baseball if he wants, and baseball never likes to see that. But I do think that they've got something on him, whether it's worth 211 or 162 or what their fallback position might be. Is he just doing that? Is he figuring that a half a season is still half a lot of money?
A-Rod says that they have no evidence on him. Right. The only evidence they have is the word of the gentleman who ran the center. Hendon evidence, or they're just taking the word of a guy who at first refused to cooperate, who himself is in trouble, and reportedly got paid by Major League Baseball to cooperate?
Well, I wouldn't know. I'm not close to it. I mean, obviously, I haven't been working as much. I retired full-time a couple of years ago, so I'm not looking at the details, and I don't know if anybody knows that. But from the outside, these are all pretty seamy characters. It seems to me A-Rod's been in on this stuff from early on, that he was using things. If he suddenly stopped, if he was using it back during the research period, that he was able to limit it, to say, well, I only did it, but I didn't inhale, as somebody once said. You know, if he's doing that, but now he's able to parse it by saying, but once they started testing, I never did anything, I'm clean. I don't believe him. Whether I believe the other people or not is I don't know.
What about the commissioner? I mean, I've heard that it's never been done before for any of these arbitration hearings regarding substance abuse or banned substance abuse, whatever. Since they've had the collective bargaining agreement address that the commissioner has never been required or never come to the hearings to testify. Do you believe that since this is a much longer suspension than any other previous suspension that's being proposed, do you believe that A-Rod has the quote-unquote right to have his accuser confront him or confront his accuser in that setting?
In that setting, no, not at all. I don't. It's not written down anywhere. It's not part of the procedure. Baseball has its legal angle, and whether he wants to accept it or not. I mean, baseball has always done its very best to keep everything in-house, not to get it out into the courts, because they don't want that. They don't want the court looking at the reserve clause or other little goodies that baseball has gotten away with over the years. So they cower at the idea of things getting out, and I don't blame them for that, because you like to keep things in-house. So A-Rod and his lawyers are not stupid. They know that if you threaten baseball with that, maybe you get half a year knocked off or what. But that's what they're trying to do. It's intimidation both ways.
Yeah, no, very interesting. And of course, we're all watching Robinson Cano. You think anybody's going to give him 10 years at $310 million?
No, I think that Tyler Kepner's column had a good point today. That why would you think that his next 8 or 9 or 10 years will be as good as his first 8 or 9 or 10 years? There's no reason to think. One thing I was thinking about.
We only got 30 seconds, but
okay,
go ahead.
I just want to say that Bud Selig probably shouldn't take it too personally and get too involved. I don't know that he does. I just remember Bart Giamatti taking it very personally with Pete Rose.
Yeah, sure.
And there's no point in that. It's in the end of the day, it's your job to get the truth out. But you can't take it personally when somebody stonewalls you.
The great George Vesey, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, sir, for your time. Appreciate
it. Always a pleasure, Steve.
Thank you. Care. George Vesey, sports columnist and author, great author. And anyway, we'll talk to him again soon on the Steve Malzberg Show.
Have you hit a brick wall with your weight loss? Does your weight management plan need an extra edge for success? If so, listen up. Metabio is the revolutionary weight loss breakthrough designed to help you reach your goal weight as part of your diet and exercise program. Metabio is the premium nutritional supplement power-packed with 5 high-quality ingredients. When used as part of a healthy lifestyle, each component is formulated to help you reach your goals and maintain your optimal weight and wellness. It supports healthy metabolism and promotes fat loss. Now, learn how you can try a 30-day supply of Metabio. Just cover a $4.95 shipping fee. Visit themetabio.com/special. Act now and also receive instant access to our downloadable special report, a practical guide to healthy weight management. Try it now at themetabio.com/special. That's the metabio.com/special. While supplies last. themetabio.com/special.
Drug, alcohol, and gambling addiction can be devastating for you and your loved ones. Don't let the disease of addiction ruin everything you've worked so hard for. The Treatment Helpline has helped thousands of people just like you take control of their addictions and live healthier, cleaner, and happier lives. You are not alone. Now there's hope. The Treatment Helpline has helped people just like you overcome their addiction. If you or a loved one is suffering from a drug, alcohol, or gambling addiction, let us help you today. Call 1-800-813-9821. Our seasoned addiction treatment professionals can show you how to use your private health insurance to help cover the costs of this life-changing program. Call now and get a free confidential consultation. 1-800-813-9821. That's 1-800-813-9821. Help is only a phone call away. Call 1-800-813-9821. That's 1-800-813-9821.
Hello and welcome to your Newsmax Now update. I'm John Bachman. John Kerry says the United States and Afghanistan have come to an agreement that would govern relations between the U.S. military and the Afghan government for years to come, and some might say forever.
I'm pleased to say that in a series of conversations with President Karzai in the course of this morning, even interrupting some of our conversations, that we reached an agreement as to the final language of the bilateral security agreement.
The deal structures how a long-term relationship between the U.S. and Afghanistan will look. Included in those terms, Washington will pay to train and equip Afghan security forces. The deal also establishes the groundwork for keeping armed American outposts in the country. That deal would extend to 2024 and beyond. It would effectively start a new phase in the seemingly never-ending war in Afghanistan. Kerry said the deal would be presented to influential tribal leaders later today. And the Senate voted today to weaken the filibuster rules, which will make it tougher for the GOP to block President Obama's nominees for key posts. Some are calling this the nuclear option. The move was spurred by Democrats' frustration over what they see as a pattern of obstruction on the part of the GOP. Recent judicial nominees appointed by President Obama have been blocked by filibusters. Spearheaded by Majority Leader Harry Reid, the move would eliminate the use of the filibuster against nominees to certain cabinet posts and judicial posts. Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren says Democrats had no choice but to do this.
They're saying they don't want this president to nominate anyone to fill those vacancies. They are blocking him from exercising his responsibilities.
The move, which passed along party lines, goes against nearly 225 years of precedent. And Congressman Trey Riddell of Florida will be taking a leave of absence after pleading guilty to a misdemeanor charge of cocaine possession. The Florida congressman says he let down his country, his family, and Southwest Florida, where he represents that district.
I hope to come out of this a stronger man, a better man for all of you.
Riddell, 37, plans to immediately start inpatient treatment for substance abuse. He said he has been dealing with the disease on and off for years. He first came on the radar of federal authorities during an undercover sting operation. Riddell will donate his salary to charity while he is on leave. And talks are underway in Geneva right now between 6 world powers and Iran over its nuclear program. The U.S. and its allies are seeking to limit Iran's ability to enrich uranium. Iran wants relief from economic sanctions. Both sides believe a deal is possible, but Iran's supreme leader says the country will not step back one iota from its nuclear rights. Coming up next on our Newsmax Now update, an exclusive with former UN Ambassador John Bolton. Plus, what happens when an emergency slide inflates while the plane is in midair.
Meet John and Nancy. Like many people, John and Nancy have spent their whole lives working hard, saving their money and investing wisely, knowing that it would pay off in the end. But the reality is, today's world is not the same as it was. John and Nancy's stocks have taken them on a serious roller coaster ride, and it's all but destroyed their retirement funds. Their house is not even close to being worth what they paid, and to boot, their middle-class paychecks no longer cover their costs. All that hard work and smart investing has gotten them nowhere. In fact, they are no longer thinking about when they will retire, they're wondering if they'll retire. Then one day, John and Nancy heard about a man named Tom Hutchison, a veteran of Wall Street for over 2 decades. Tom noticed that the wealthy invested differently than normal people, and their methods seemed to be a secret they didn't want to share. So Tom left his job, compiled the strategies, and published them in the controversial book, Powerful Secrets to Achieve Superior Returns. John and Nancy immediately picked up a copy, began investing, and never looked back. Thanks to Powerful Secrets, John and Nancy now have investments that pay up to 20% a year. They learned about unique tax-advantaged investments, and their favorite chapter revealed a strategy that anyone can use to turn $50,000 into $1 million. Now, John and Nancy have control of their financial future in this new reality, and they have peace of mind about their investments that they never had before. Best of all, they are back on track to a secure retirement. To get your free copy of the book, Powerful Secrets to Achieve Superior Returns, simply visit www.myfinancialage.org.
Welcome back. A JetBlue plane was forced to make an emergency landing after an evacuation slide partially deployed mid-flight inside the fuselage. The plane was on its way from Fort Myers, Florida to Boston and was forced to make an unscheduled landing at the Orlando International Airport. Officials said the flight, which was carrying 74 passengers and 4 crew members, landed safely. No one was injured, but passengers did say that slide knocked a flight attendant down and created quite a scare. I bet it did. And former UN Ambassador John Bolton tells Newsmax during an exclusive interview that despite desperate efforts by the Obama administration, a deal with Iran over its nuclear weapons program would only give the country more time to develop a bomb.
The program is too close to its objective of deliverable nuclear weapons. Iran wants relief from the sanctions. I think that's perfectly understandable, but not at the price of giving up their nuclear weapons program.
And that's going to do it for this edition of your Newsmax Now update.
3, 2, 1. Broadcasting live from the Newsmax studios. This is the Steve Malzberg Show. Be a part of the action by calling toll-free 1-877-Newsmax. That's 1-877-639-7629. Or email Steve at malzbergshow@newsmax.com. Here is Steve Malzberg.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I am so honored to have our next guest sitting right here in the studio. I don't know how many of you understand how important civilian teams, civilian Afghanistan, and our government, our military relies on them so deeply in so many ways. And then if something goes awry, if something the media picks up on and they don't like, and they're quick to turn on these civilian heroes. And that's a little bit of what happened to our next guest and the fine company that he ran. And I'm talking about Eric Prince, founder and former CEO of Blackwater. He is no longer with Blackwater, but he is now a equity investor. We'll talk about that. He has penned it all in a wonderful new book, and it's called Civilian Warriors, The Inside Story of Blackwater and the Unsung Heroes of the War on Terror. I hold that up and I say hello to Eric Prince. Hello, sir.
Thanks for having me.
It's my pleasure. Thank you. And of course, your background. Of course, we should tell everybody a Navy SEAL, and whenever I sit opposite anybody from the military, I always say, which is true, you're a better man than I or woman than I, however that goes down, for having served. But to me, a Navy SEAL is always just one step above and one step special.
It's I think it was the best job in the world. It's a great bunch of people to work with, and to get paid for jumping out of airplanes, diving, and shooting guns. It's and
getting the bad guys and helping the good guys.
Correct.
All right. Now talk about Blackwater. To me, unfortunately, in many liberal circles, and they try to poison the public, in my view, through the media. Blackwater, Halliburton, these are names that they want to make into evil names, and anybody affiliated with them is a bad person.
Boogeyman.
What's that? The Boogeyman, absolutely. Talk about Blackwater, talk about the genesis, and talk about how the government started turning to you. I mean, you go back to around 2000. I know the coal, and you go back to you gave them some valuable tips with Afghanistan and Al Qaeda and the Taliban. Talk about that.
Sure. I was a Navy SEAL for a number of years. I got out because my dad died and my wife got sick with cancer. I got out to help, kind of sort out the family business. I started Blackwater really as a way to stay connected to the teams. Those special operations kind of units have been using private facilities since the late 70s, but no one had done it on a grand scale. So I was in the fortunate position to be able to do that, to self-fund it, and kind of built it as a field of dreams. And so we started in 97, first customers January of 98, and then Columbine happens shortly thereafter, and we ended up building a big mock high school on spec after that to train thousands of SWAT team officers to solve that immediate shooter threat. And then the Navy came to us after the coal was blown up. We had a $1.5 billion warship destroyed by two guys in a suicide boat, and we trained sailors how to protect their ship. And then after 9/11, I think everyone was trying to figure out how to run to the call, and we did. And our government customers called us, and we responded with a lot of security and logistics, a lot more training. Even we bought a small aviation operation, and we took them from one leased aircraft up to 73. Wow. And doing everything from medevac, airlift, resupply, you name it, flying in very difficult places.
That's an amazing story. Okay, so the logistics, the training, everything you talk about. By the way, the coal. I mean, if you want to go back to the coal, I don't know if they knew how to defend themselves or not, but I think at the time the order was don't point your gun, don't have your guns loaded, or don't point your guns at these little dinghies.
It was so bad that most of the guards that day were holding unloaded weapons that they'd never fired before, and it was down to where in boot camp they were shooting laser simulators, not even real guns, because they were so worried about safety. And in that case, a proud warship was nearly destroyed.
But that's political correctness to an extent,
absolutely,
too, right?
It's political correctness run amok.
So you could train these people all you want, but if the policy doesn't change, then it's worthless.
Well, the policy got a real wake-up call that morning when that ship blew up.
Unbelievable. All right, so you are called into service again after 9/11. You provide, as everything you mentioned, plus is from what I could recall, the valuable information regarding, tips, if you will, inside information regarding the Al Qaeda and the Taliban. And
yeah, a little known fact I talk about it in the book is I was actually paying attention to Afghan peace long before it was in vogue to do so. I actually funded Aloya Yurga, one of those tribal councils, in the late 90s in Switzerland, trying to bring a peaceful reconciliation to the Afghan civil war, trying to get the king to go back and make a deal and kind of suppress the Taliban. So anyway, that led to knowing people who know people, and so after 9/11, we were able to make some other introductions to the intelligence community so that U.S. boots could get on the ground there quicker and get after Al Qaeda.
Okay, now, when do things go bad? When does the government start scapegoating you and your company and trying to make you into some bad guy, who's causing problems when in fact you're doing quite the opposite? I mean, there were times there where, I'm sorry to interrupt my own question and your answer, but I mean, your civilian warriors, as is the name of your great book, led the military in battles. I mean, there were times, or at least a couple, when you were in command, if you will, correct?
Well, a couple times, I guess, in extremis. There was a time in Najaf where 1,000 or so Shia radicals led by Muqtada al-Sadr attacked a coalition facility. We happened to have 8 bodyguards there. Our guys ended up leading the defense. It was led by a former SEAL senior chief petty officer, and he kind of was naturally took charge of that and led the defense. And we even resupplied with our helicopters twice and medevac some of the soldiers that were there out of there who were later awarded medals for their valor.
All right, so tell us, I mean, there were a couple of incidents that got a lot of public attention, one particular in Iraq.
Sure. In Fallujah,
Yeah.
first of all, 4 of our guys were ambushed and murdered by the insurgents in kind of a made-for-TV murder, and with, videotaped and all. And, of course, after that, the left-wing trial lawyers hire a PR firm, and they start slandering us and generating all kinds of nonsense. At the same time, we go to work for the State Department, who says you will not address the media at all, so you're just going to stand there and take it. And as we build in this capacity for the State Department, and we're doing, thousands of missions, and then by 2006 or 7, Iraq is a very dangerous place. The surge is on, a lot of counterinsurgency activity. And then a fateful day, Nisr Square, September 16, 2007, a car bomb went off. Just to give flavor on the previous week, one of our helicopters was shot down, a couple roadside bomb attacks. Small arms ambush.
And it's war. I mean,
it's
people
war.
have to understand it's
There's
war.
Americans fighting and dying all around us.
Right.
Mortar attacks regularly, rocket attacks. And a car bomb goes off that Sunday morning. Our guys decide to evacuate the State Department official from the venue, and a support team is moved in to free up a traffic circle so the guys can move through there quickly. It's kind of like a trail intersection if you're a deer hunter. It's where the enemy would naturally set up. And one of the cars coming into the traffic circle fails to stop, doesn't heed all the warnings, the hand and arm signals, the water bottles, the flashing light sirens, even warning shots, and deadly force is used, and then a firefight ensues. One of our vehicles is disabled by an incoming AK round that actually cut the hose of the radiator drain line and caused the vehicle to stop. Eventually, they made it out of there, but it's a tragic situation. It's war, and unfortunately, sometimes innocent civilians get hurt.
Yeah.
And I also want to make it real clear, in comparison, October 3, in Washington, D.C., a 34-year-old woman, American citizen, driving her car, got into some kind of traffic altercation with the Secret Service, and they started firing at her.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah.
And she fled. Eventually, she was gunned down and killed by Capitol Hill police with her baby in the backseat of the car.
Yeah.
And my point is, our people were veterans. They were U.S. military veterans that had been in that theater in green uniforms as recently as a year and a half before this happened. So they had all the training with additional training from us, and they're out there doing a job, and they have to make a very split-second decision. A car bomb had just gone off earlier that morning. Could that car coming been another car bomb? Could easily be, because it happened all the time.
Absolutely. Will you stay another segment? Because I want to follow
Sure,
up
no
on
problem.
this. And, of course, they're going after 4 of your former employees for this, correct?
Political prosecution.
Absolutely.
Still.
We're talking to Eric Prince. Civilian Warriors is the book. The inside story of Blackwater. We have much more to talk about when we return. You're, of course, listening to and watching The Steve Malzberg Show on Newsmax TV and radio. Don't go away.
Attention seniors and baby boomers. A new website has been created just for you. SocialSecurity311.com. At SocialSecurity311.com, we reveal a weird trick that could help you add $152,000 to your Social Security payouts. For example, did you know how you file for Social Security can dramatically change the amount of money you collect? One simple step could add up to $1,000 to your monthly payouts. And other loopholes we found reveal 33 ways for big savings on your health care. At SocialSecurity311.com, you will also discover how you could save up to 50% on your groceries, along with 49 other ways to save as much as $50,000 starting today. Newsmax says this website is a critical resource for anyone over the age of 50. So go to SocialSecurity311.com now to find out how you could add extra money to your Social Security checks. That's SocialSecurity311.com. SocialSecurity311.com.
Are payday loans ruining your life? If you have 2 or more payday loan cash advances, listen closely. You may be eligible for a program that payday loan companies don't want you to know about.
This program will get payday loan companies out of your bank account and put an end to the payday loan nightmare. Call for free information and find out if Payday Loan Support Center is right for you. Payday loan companies usually trap you into paying rates as high as 700%. We understand payday lenders' tactics. Don't let them take advantage of you anymore. All you need is 2 or more payday loans to qualify. We can help even if you're behind in collections or have bad credit.
Internet payday loans qualify for this program as well. So call 800-250-5084. That's 800-250-5084. The call is free and the consultation is free. Don't miss out. Call for your free information on payday loan relief. 800-250-5084. That's 800-250-5084. Again, 800-250-5084.
This is the worst weather we've seen in quite some time, folks, and I don't see any end in sight. People have been calling in from across the state complaining their basements are flooding. One guy said he now has an indoor swimming pool in his basement. I told him he needs the waterproofing innovations from Basement Systems. If you want a dry basement or crawl space that will weather any kind of storm, you need the patented solutions from Basement Systems. You've seen them on home makeover shows throughout the country. With a lifetime warranty, every solution is custom designed for your basement. You can finally have that room you've always wanted with our total basement finishing system. Call now for a free estimate, and you'll never have to worry about storms like these again.
Call now for your free basement inspection at 800-516-9794, 800-516-9794. Learn how to waterproof your basement now. Call this number, 800-516-9794, 800-516-9794.
Don't complain about your cable bill going up and up and up. Do something about it. Grab a pencil and jot down this special number, 1-855-625-MY-TV. The more cable TV rates go up, the better digital satellite TV looks. So cancel the cable and get more of your favorite channels in 100% digital quality for less money. Call 1-855-625-MY-TV. Right now to sign up for packages starting as low as $19.99, and there's no equipment to buy. You get free HD TV upgrade, a free DVR upgrade, and free professional installation. You control what you watch when you watch it. Record your favorite shows, pause and rewind live TV, even skip the commercials. Watch local channels too. At just $19.99, what are you waiting for? Pull out your major credit or debit card. Call 1-855-625-MY-TV. 1-855-625-MY-TV. Cancel the cable, cut costs, and get more. 1-855-625-MY-TV. 1-855-625-MY-TV.
CEO.com/special. Crescio.com/special.
This is not your typical Screamfest talk show.
No.
This is the next generation of talk radio. Here is Steve Malzberg.
All right, folks, continue our conversation with Eric Prince, founder and former CEO of Blackwater. Civilian Warriors. That's his new book, The Inside Story of Blackwater and the Unsung Heroes of the War on Terror. It's out today. And, Eric, thanks for staying around. Okay, so the Justice Department going after 4 of your former employees for what you just described happened in Iraq. I don't understand anymore how they expect us to fight wars. You and I have been talking. Rules of engagement goes back to the coal. In some instances, they've learned. In some instances, things are worse now than ever before, aren't they?
I think they're getting much worse than ever before. You know, if you're in Afghanistan and you're under heavy fire, you can't drop a bomb without getting a lawyer's permission to do that. I think we've allowed when in the Soviet Union, when they had a unit commander, but they had a political officer right next to the commander that really decides what was in keeping with the party's decision. That's what we really allowed lawyers to become as we're trying to fight a war. It hamstrings the guys from getting a job done.
If we had to do this in World War II, you never would have been a SEAL. I would never have been around here, and we'd all be talking German in this country.
It would be impossible to fight a conventional war with that kind of hamstringing yourself.
My God, we bomb cities, and now, God forbid, civilians get killed. But it's a shame. But it's a war, and people, I think, just like they've dumbed down and changed the definition of so many things and so many expectations. Now people, or the media, expects us to fight a war with no civilian casualties, and if civilians get killed, it's, oh my God, put someone on trial for it.
It's a heck of a way to work it, and the U.S. government has mastered the most expensive way to wage war as well. And I make the case towards the end of the book that I think it's time to actually cut the defense budget and the intelligence budget. There's plenty of room to do it, because I think the greatest threat to American liberty is an overbloated government that continues to spend us off into oblivion, and make that compromise between the left that wants to protect social programs, maybe the right wants to protect some of these defense programs. I say they all got to be cut, all have to be reduced, and there's more than enough room to make the military much more efficient, even more effective if it's a little bit smaller than it is now.
What's the future of companies like Blackwater, civilian companies that assist during times of war?
Look, private contractors go back literally to the founding of the country. As you sit around your table for Thanksgiving dinner, think about a contractor like John Smith or Miles Standish. They were private military contractors that came and built the Continental Army. I'm sorry, that built the colonies, which grew into America. Private sector will always have a role, and they can have a key role now by giving a private sector price reality check. How much something should cost to keep a man in the field, to do a good or a service, compared to government monopoly doing it versus private sector. I would always tip on the private sector getting it done right first.
But I'm referring more to the scrutiny, the scapegoating your company has come under, the Justice Department going after the former employees.
All of that bureaucratization and prosecution and persecution has a very chilling effect on people that are willing to step forward and do it. I mean, I kind of write the book as a warning to the next entrepreneur that hears the alarm bell ringing and starts running to say, my country needs me, I'll help. Be careful, because the hot air that comes from Washington can very quickly turn into a blowtorch, and it will burn your business.
All right, you've been doing the media circuit. Today you had mostly fairly fair media. I would like to think this was fair and news. The media played a big part in helping to make your company, your former company, into a villain. How have they treated you? How was that interview at NPR? I mean, what do you expect going forward with other mainstream media outlets?
They keep coming back to the same default thinking that they had back in 2007. And really, the anti-war left went after the troops in Vietnam. This time they went after contractors. And, because I was the owner of the business, came from a conservative family. It was large. It was successful. We had assets. It made a very easy target for them to go after.
To begin with.
How dare you have success? We kind of represented everything they hated.
Yeah, and
business, capitalism, success, Catholicism, you name it.
And do you believe that in this climate, let's get a little political for a second here. You've started a new business, a private equity firm. You're now a private equity investor. Plug the firm and talk about it a little bit.
Sure. I started a company called Frontier Resource Group, and we do investments in energy, mining, agriculture, and logistics opportunities in Africa. Kind of taking the know-how we built in how to operate in difficult places on a firm fixed budget in places like Afghanistan. But if we can do it there, we can make things work in Africa from an investment perspective as well.
All right. Now, in this current climate, when you hear a commander-in-chief talk about the fact that, now they're denying it, but that Karzai, now that I'm seeing there's a last-minute hitch that threatens the Afghan deal. Karzai wants to delay the agreement with U.S. troops. They may want an apology, saying we've done wrong in Afghanistan. We have a president who has said he doesn't like the word victory when it comes to Afghanistan, and we've heard from our administration that the Taliban's not our enemy. What does that do to troops who are over there?
It's got to really make them wonder, what am I doing here? If we're not in it to win it, then come home. But, unfortunately, the U.S. has done not a very good job of building that capacity in the Afghans. They built some good units there's some Afghans that will fight valiantly, but with no logistic support, no combat support, so those units will quickly run out of the stuff they need to sustain themselves. I hate to say it, that the Russians actually built a better Air Force in the 10 years that they were there than the U.S. has, with all the money that they've spent in Afghanistan since 2001.
And when you hear about the fact that we're going to keep thousands of troops there, I mean, after this president insinuated again, like you could keep your doctor and your insurance, that they're all coming home, do you think it's a good thing that we maintain 5,000-6,000 troops as a security force?
Well, the number I saw for next year, the DOD is budgeting $2.1 million of cost per trooper to keep in Afghanistan. So if that number is true, it is a ridiculously high, staggering number. Yeah. And I know the private sector can do it less than that. And I'm not trying to pimp for the private sector doing it.
Yeah.
It's just that
it sounds like a lot of money.
There has to be some cost sanity brought to doing that.
But is it good from a policy standpoint to stay there, keep a presence there, or just get out at this point?
It's a shame that there has not been better capacity built in the 10 years that we've been there. It's time to start forcing the issue, to force the Afghans to stand up and get organized. If Karzai knew that the enemy was at the gates, he wouldn't be running his mouth about demanding an apology. Right, yeah. He'd be happy that the U.S. was there still protecting his rear end.
The book is Civilian Warriors. They truly are, folks. The inside story of Blackwater, and the author Eric Prince, founder and former CEO of Blackwater. Great to see you. Good luck with your new venture. Appreciate and I know you'll be very successful with it. All right, folks, we're coming back. Still a big half hour ahead right here on the Steve Malzberg Show. And if you want to weigh in, it's 877 Newsmax, 877-639-7629. So feel free to give a call. And I know you're headed up to Fox again for the third time today. So enjoy that. Right here, Steve Malzberg Show, Newsmax TV and radio.
Meet John and Nancy. Like many people, John and Nancy have spent their whole lives working hard, saving their money and investing wisely, knowing that it would pay off in the end. But the reality is, today's world is not the same as it was. John and Nancy's stocks have taken them on a serious roller coaster ride, and it's all but destroyed their retirement funds. Their house is not even close to being worth what they paid, and to boot, their middle-class paychecks no longer cover their costs. All that hard work and smart investing has gotten them nowhere. In fact, they are no longer thinking about when they will retire, they're wondering if they'll retire. Then one day, John and Nancy heard about a man named Tom Hutchison, a veteran of Wall Street for over 2 decades. Tom noticed that the wealthy invested differently than normal people, and their methods seemed to be a secret they didn't want to share. So Tom left his job, compiled the strategies, and published them in the controversial book, Powerful Secrets to Achieve Superior Return. Thanks to Powerful Secrets, John and Nancy now have investments that pay up to 20% a year. You can use to turn $50,000 into $1 million. Now, John and Nancy have control of their financial future in this new reality, and they have peace of mind about their investments that they never had before. Best of all, they are back on track to a secure retirement. To get your free copy of the book, Powerful Secrets to Achieve Superior Returns, simply visit www.myfinancialage.org.
Hi, this is Mike Reagan. You need to watch out because thousands of new Obamacare rules are currently being implemented, and few know what the law says or does. Listen to what Senator Max Baucus, one of the authors of the Obamacare law, recently said.
I tell you, I just see a huge train wreck coming down, and I don't see any results yet. I just see a huge train wreck.
He's right. So protect yourself from this train wreck. Get the #1 bestseller, The Obamacare Survival Guide. Newsmax says it's the best guide to the new law. Join more than 500,000 Americans who have their copy. Get the Obamacare Survival Guide at bookstores everywhere, or get our special $4.95 offer and save $15 off the cover price by going now to Obamacare911.com. That's Obamacare911.com. That's Obamacare911.com.
A hot new book by Craig Smith argues that the greenback is now at high risk thanks to our spendthrift politicians. Mark Twain said, "The truth is stranger than fiction." The same is true of the Great Debasement, which began a century ago with the creation of the Federal Reserve and income tax. The result, today's dollar retains just 2 cents of its original buying power. Yes, progressive politicians have engineered the largest wealth confiscation in history, creating in essence a fourth branch of government. Learn what must be done to preserve your money if the dollar crashes. The good news is Swiss America is offering the Great Debasement, a $20 value free of charge for this special radio offer.
800-818-3967. 800-818-3967. 800-818-3967. Call Swiss America now for a free DVD. 800-818-3967.
29. Again, 800-574-6029.
Microphones hot. Satellite link established. Studio lights illuminated. Cameras rolling. Audio and video encoders firing ones and zeros. Internet stream streaming. The most technology-advanced radio show is on the air. Here's the captain of this enterprise, Steve Malzberg.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, they're having conniption fits on CNN because the new approval rating is out from the CNN poll. And a little later, I'll tell you what it is. I will give you a hint. It's at an all-time CNN low, which varies from poll to poll. Every poll, though, that's come out in the past week, it's hit an all-time low for that particular poll. So Wolf Blitzer is just so. Calm down, Wolf. All right, folks, very symptomatic of this administration. This is not all that unique, although by virtue of the circumstances, it seems very unique. The Department of Homeland Security still has not fired a black supremacist who has called for mass murder of whites. We talked a little bit about it. I read you a little bit from the piece by Alex Seitz-Wald from National Journal, and we are now joined by a political reporter for the National Journal, Alex Seitz-Wald. Hello, Alex.
Hi, thanks for having me.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for coming on. All right. I mean, you know, when I read this, it's kind of like the government's kind of making it seem like it's a New York City teacher in a rubber room, somebody who has, you know, groped kids or whatever they do, and you can't fire them because of the union restrictions, so they pay them full price and they put them in called a rubber room where they sit all day and do nothing but collect a paycheck. Is that kind of what's going on here, and the reason why this white supremacist wacko sicko has not been fired?
Yeah, I think that's basically right. I mean, they're being pretty cagey about the details. But, you know, civil service laws are really strict, and it's really hard to fire anyone in the government for any reason, you know, at all. This seems like a real cut and dry case. You know, he has a website, he has YouTube videos, he has books. You can go on, you can see all this stuff where he talks about how, you know, we need to do ethnic cleansing of the black-skinned Uncle Tom race traders. How, you know, in order for black people to survive the 21st century, we're going to have to kill lots of whites, more than our Christian hearts can possibly count. This isn't, you know, wishy-washy. There's no gray area here. It's very clear what he's saying. And I think it's, you know, pretty obvious that he should be fired. I don't think anyone disagrees with that. I don't think even the Department of Homeland Security disagrees with that. The problem is their hands are a little bit tied here by these kind of absurd laws that make it so hard for them to fire him. So I think, yeah, as you said, He's basically, you know, at home collecting a paycheck under review, quote unquote, whatever that means. I don't know how long it takes to read the website and see what he has to say, but this guy is getting paid as they go through the hoops of trying to get rid of him.
I mean, now having said that, and we could only speculate, but this is the Department of Homeland Security. I mean, I know it's another government agency, but nonetheless, he's calling for violence against a segment of the United States population as a member, as an employee of the Department of Homeland Security, which makes it, to me, I mean, besides it being egregious on its face, it makes it especially egregious as it pertains to the department that he works in. But let me ask you, because I don't know, but if there were a white guy who had a website working for Department of Homeland Security who said, you know, we need to kill a bunch of black people, you think this that white person would linger in wherever he's lingering for as long as he's been lingering there?
I mean, you know, it's obviously hypothetical, but I have to imagine it'd be basically the same situation, because you have the ridiculous laws that just make it so hard, you know, for him to fire people. And also, you know, he works for the Department of Homeland Security. He's not a law enforcement officer himself, thankfully, but he does procure guns. He's a procurement officer, so he buys things, and among the things that he buys or did before he was put on leave was guns and ammo and handcuffs for immigration and custom enforcement. You know, the people who enforce
ICE, yeah,
immigration laws.
Yeah,
ICE, yeah. So that was his job, was to work with small businesses to try to buy their product. And, you know, so he wasn't out there carrying a gun himself, but it's still a little bit scary. And even if he wasn't, you know, affecting anyone outside of the office, a couple of people who have worked with him have told reporters that, oh, yeah, this guy was, you know, scared everybody in the office. You know, after the Navy Yard shooting just in September, I think that reality, you know, has shown that this is something that can really happen. That was a contractor who basically did that. He showed up with a gun one day and, went crazy. It seems like a guy who had, mental health issues. This guy seems more politically driven than any kind of mental issues. But I think it just underscores the stakes here, that this should have been taken care of a long time ago. And they got reports about this guy 2 years ago and kind of sat on them. So I think there should be some kind of internal review to see what happened there.
Yeah, well, of course, nobody will admit to knowing anything, which seems to be the mantra for this administration. We're talking to Alex Seitz-Wald. He is a political reporter for the National Journal here on the Steve Malzberg Show. We're talking about a gentleman, Ayo Kimathi, who has a website and has called for mass murder of white people, among other things. Now, I wonder, in that capacity that you describe, purchasing weapons from small business, etc., do we know, has his home been searched? Has he accumulated a stockpile of weapons and/or bombs or who knows what?
No, because as I said, the DHS has been very circumspect with what they've said. They've only put out a few statements, and they basically say the same thing every time. They say we don't condone this. This is not at all what we support, and we're reviewing his employment, and he's on administrative leave. They basically say the same thing every time.
Is he a union? Is he in a union? He's not in a union.
I was trying to figure that out, and I can't figure that out. But
I mean, because if he's not in a union, either way, yeah. But if he's in a union, then at least you could say, oh, okay, you understand the foolishness. But if he's not in a union, all they got to say is you're fired. If he doesn't like it, let him sue. I mean, I don't get it.
Yeah, it's a good question, and he actually has speculated. He put out a YouTube video after this whole thing broke. Back in August, by the way, we should say, this has been 4 months since they've known about this, and since he was put on leave. He was put on leave in late August.
And making $115,731. At least that's what he made.
And he says, or he speculates, he doesn't know either, he thinks that maybe they're keeping him on the payroll to keep an eye on him, which is possible, and that might be that might excuse DHS a little bit if they think that they can keep, they think this guy is dangerous, so maybe they think they can keep a better eye on him. But as one of the people I talked to from the Southern Poverty Law Center, which tracks hate groups.
Well, yeah, they track sometimes they track so-called hate groups, yeah.
Right, but I was interested to see that they were the ones who brought this guy to attention, and I think they deserve some credit for that, because certainly there's a lot of critics, especially on the right, for them going after, anti-gay groups and stuff. But they were the ones who brought this guy to light. And as they were saying, this is a guy who should be under surveillance from Homeland Security, not be paid by Homeland Security.
Right. Yeah. I don't see how. Right. I don't see how it's mutually exclusive. In other words, if they fired him. What were they? I don't get it. I mean, would they think they know where he is? Is he under surveillance? And they can only keep him under surveillance if he's not coming to work. You say he's home. I mean, that doesn't mean he has an ankle bracelet, as far as we know. So and kill someone. I mean, I just don't get the whole thing, and neither do you. And that's the sad part. Have you talked to any? I mean, I don't even know who you would talk to, but have you talked to any oversight committee people or chairman or anybody? Who would you talk to in government besides the people you've talked to in the administration or in the Department of Homeland Security, some kind of oversight person to maybe do something about this?
Yeah, I've sent it along to a couple of people, and they said they're aware of it. There's, of course, congressional oversight. You have Darrell Iss's committee.
Right.
And then also the committees that oversee, each department, they have their own investigative subcommittee. So the Homeland Security Committee has that. So, they won't also tell you much either because these processes are always cloaked behind secrecy. But they say they're aware of this and, maybe something will come of it. Maybe it's just an isolated incident. But it is a pretty absurd situation. I mean, this is there's no wiggle room in what he was saying.
No, absolutely not. But
look at it for even a minute.
Alex, there is another employee, and shame on me for not having his name at my fingertips, who's been written about, especially on WorldNet Daily. He has tweeted out. Was appointed by Obama to some kind of Department of Homeland Security advisory panel, and he has tweeted out things. That America is a Sharia-compliant nation. He called Aaron Klein of WorldNet Daily and WABC Radio in a Twitter exchange that he has a Jewish demeanor when he's on Fox News as a guest. All kinds of outrageous, outlandish, things that, first of all, you don't even know how anybody could say that publicly, but let alone, again, be involved with Department of Homeland Security. So that's why this doesn't shock me. It's far worse, I think, than the other gentleman. But nonetheless, I don't know how these people get hired.
Yeah, it's a good question, especially, I don't know about procurement officers, but certainly for any law enforcement officers, there's always, a very extensive background check. And this thing it wasn't hard to find. It was right on his website.
Yeah.
But he did have that's right. So what the Southern Poverty Law Center did is they connected this guy, the irritated genie, to A.O. Kamathi, the employee at Homeland Security. They realized that this was the same guy. So, possibly it was missed, but I'd like to think that the people doing background checks on our law enforcement officials are as good or better than the Southern Poverty Law Center.
I'd like to believe it, too. Of course, as you mentioned, I think you alluded specifically, he doesn't like Obama either. So, he said some nasty things about Obama. So I don't get this whole thing. Maybe we'll get an answer. Good work, though, putting it out there, Alex. Thank you very much, and thank you for joining us. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. That's Alex Seitz-Wald from National Journal here on the Steve Malzberg Show. Again, it just, any one of these things that we talk about on a daily basis, and this, we haven't talked about much because this is something that's just come to light and been written about, but the things we talk about are so incredible that I would, if it were me sitting at home watching, after a while I might say, yeah, this can't be. What, are you kidding me? What do you mean this guy works for the Department of Homeland Security and they won't fire him after he posts things that, we got to kill white people, and that the president is trying to homosexualize black men to make them weaker? And what do you mean he's still working for them and he's getting 107, as to quote Elaine from Seinfeld, oh, it be. Those of you who know what the episode was, he took it out. It was in reference to that. But I don't know how it could be, but it be. And it's just one sick, twisted, bizarre story after the next. I don't know what to do about it anymore except tell you folks about it. And we'll continue to do that. But it just gets to the point where, what's going on in this country? Who are we? What is Barack Obama doing to our country? I know, fundamentally changing it. All right. Welcome to the Abomination. I said that on day one, and it's never been truer than today. Steve Malzberg Show, Newsmax TV, and radio.
Attention seniors and baby boomers. A new website has been created just for you. SocialSecurity311.com. At SocialSecurity311.com, we reveal a weird trick that could help you add $152,000 to your Social Security payouts. For example, did you know how you file for Social Security can dramatically change the amount of money you collect? One simple step could add up to $1,000 to your monthly payouts. And other loopholes we found reveal 33 ways for big savings on your health care. At SocialSecurity311.com, you will also discover how you could save up to 50% on your groceries, along with 49 other ways to save as much as $50,000 starting today. Newsmax says this website is a critical resource for anyone over the age of 50. So go to SocialSecurity311.com now to find out how you could add extra money to your Social Security checks. That's SocialSecurity311.com. SocialSecurity311.com.
Men, this is the time in your life when you have more freedom to travel, more time for leisure, including an active lifestyle, even a renewed intimacy. The last thing you want is the hassle of an aging prostate. Frequent trips to the bathroom also keep you awake at night. But here's good news. Renowned physician Dr. David Brownstein believes that prostate concerns do not have to be an inevitable part of aging. As a result, Dr. Brownstein has recently developed Prostate Revive, the dietary supplement specifically formulated to help improve and sustain normal prostate function. Learn more about how you can receive a 30-day supply of Prostate Revive. Just cover a $4.95 shipping fee. Visit prostaterevive.com/special for complete details. Act now, and you'll also be given instant access to our downloadable special report, A Doctor's Guide to a Healthy Prostate. While supplies last, try Prostate Revive for 30 days at prostaterevive.com/special. That's prostaterevive.com/special.
A hot new book by Craig Smith argues that the greenback is now at high risk thanks to our spendthrift politicians. Mark Twain said, "The truth is stranger than fiction." The same is true of the Great Debasement, which began a century ago with the creation of the Federal Reserve and income tax. The result, today's dollar retains just 2 cents of its original buying power. Yes, progressive politicians have engineered the largest wealth confiscation in history, creating in essence a fourth branch of government. Learn what must be done to preserve your money if the dollar crashes. The good news is Swiss America is offering the Great Debasement, a $20 value free of charge for this special radio offer.
800-818-3967. 800-818-3967. 800-818-3967. Call Swiss America now for a free DVD. 800-818-3967.
We're in the midst of an obesity epidemic, and I'm not surprised. The statistics on obesity mirror an increasing trend of eating out or ordering in. In fact, some people dine out every night, but eating in restaurants is one of the biggest enemies of your heart. When you're in a restaurant, you don't really know what you're getting, and the calorie counts of many restaurant dishes are astronomical. In fact, some single dishes contain more calories than we should eat in an entire day. Eating in fast food restaurants is even worse. A diet of hamburgers, French fries, and shakes constitutes a fast lane to the emergency room. If you really want to help your heart, get in the habit of cooking simple meals at home. Here are 3 easy tips that will make your food taste better than even the best restaurant. Choose the best fruit in season. Your local farmer's market is a great place to start. It will probably still cost less than that pie you were thinking of buying. Get in the habit of using fresh herbs. You can use them in egg white omelets or dust them on the fish you grill or bake. And for a light dessert, choose a square or 2 of dark chocolate that you and your spouse can enjoy. There are lots of ways to make your heart healthy, but there are also lots of ways to damage it. That's why I wrote Fix It, Dr. Crandall's 90-day program. In it, I'll tell you how to kickstart your metabolism every day, how to pick the best diet for you, how to stop hunger from sabotaging your diet, the 7 superfoods for your heart. I'm Dr. Chauncey Crandall, and thanks for watching this Heart Health Minute.
6029. Again, 800-574-6029.
Get off the sidelines and be a part of the show. Call Steve toll free at 1-877-NEWSMAX. That's 1-877-639-7629. Here is Steve Malzberg.
And welcome back to the Steve Malzberg Show. I got to tell you, this is one of the fastest weeks I could ever remember. I was off last Friday. I flew to Florida down to Restoration Weekend and came back Sunday. It's Thursday. Tomorrow's Friday. It seems like I just got back from Florida yesterday. How could today possibly be Thursday? Tomorrow's show, Noel Shepard, easy for me to say, associate editor, newsbusters.org, Malzberg's Media Madness, and Kendall Coffey will move to tomorrow. He will join us, and, of course, we'll go spinning the law. Lots to talk about. I just saw they were doing Shelley Zimmerman, the estranged wife of George Zimmerman, was on with Katie Couric, and I have doubts about the Trayvon Martin case now, and so they brought on Sonny Hostin. Wolf Blitzer. Sonny, does this change anything in the Zimmerman case? Yeah, it changes something, Wolf. Well, Sonny Hostin said, yes, of course. Yes, this calls a lot of things into doubt now. Oh, yes. The man was acquitted. You can't retry him. He could come out tomorrow and say, I did it, and you can't retry him. That's the thing about O.J. Once he was acquitted, he could make a whole confession and it wouldn't matter. That's how our justice system works. But because his ex-wife says I have doubts without being specific, why is it even worth talking about? Because that's our media. They'll never stop. Now, Obamacare. 911. Okay. Listen to this compilation of how Obamacare, something which Barack Obama proudly took credit. In other words, he said they've named it Obamacare. It's Obamacare. I love it. And they started calling it Obamacare. Oh, but it's not Obamacare no more, no more. Oh, no, 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 no. Listen to cut number 12.
I like the term Obamacare. We passed Obamacare. Yeah, I like the term. We passed it. Because I do care.
Obamacare is on my list. I apologize, Mr. President. I use that term with all respect, by the way. Good.
Lock in tight on Obamacare.
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 Obamacare. Until it's working really well, and then they're going to stop calling it Obamacare. They're going to call it something else.
They're losing their existing insurance plans under Obamacare.
Latest on Obamacare.
Obamacare fiasco.
Obamacare fiasco. Never-ending Obamacare fiasco.
Obamacare.
Implement and improve the Affordable Care Act. 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 Affordable Care Act.
The 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 Affordable Care Act, as I call it, as always called it.
Nancy. Oh, God, help us. Really, please help us. But you see? Yeah, all of us. Oh, I like it. Hey, when it works so well, they're going to stop calling it Obamacare. They'll call it something else. Yeah. So who stopped calling it Obamacare? Debbie Wasserman Schultz and Barack Obama and Harry Reid and all the rest of the left, because they don't want nothing to do with it no more. I wonder why. I really can't imagine. I am dumbfounded, as they say. And if I had someone to take to task, I'm feeling so good, I'd take them to task. But I don't have anybody right now to take to task. Okay, you want to hear something? I'll tell you who took who to task. Matt Lewis became the first conservative to really call out MSNBC's Michael Dyson about race. Give a listen to cut number 5. I believe it's cut number 15. Give a listen.
Oprah Winfrey, not James Baldwin. Oprah Winfrey said the bulk of the opposition to the President of the United States of America has to do with a singular fact that he is an African-American man. All of the other justifications that have been adduced to support him.
10 minutes to get to the race issue. That's why Republicans
Sir, I didn't interrupt you on your when you were offering bromides.
I didn't accuse anybody of being
I did not interrupt
racist
you.
either.
Don't interrupt me.
Matt,
Don't deploy the very principles of white privilege to silence a black man on the panel because you don't want to talk about race. All right, so be quiet.
Be quiet. Ooh, Michael Eric Dyson telling Matt Lewis, be quiet. Don't employ the principle of white privilege to silence a black man on the panel. Folks, I'm looking at a story here out of Portland. Peanut butter and jelly sandwiches are now racist, says a Portland school official. Peanut butter and jelly. I don't know why yet. I just see the headline. I'll read it to you tomorrow, but I want you to hear part 2 of Dyson and Lewis. Here's cut 16.
He's the host of the show the last time I checked.
Is that the vitriol?
You can't even talk about politics without bringing up race, can you? You have no policy solutions. You can't talk about policy. The only thing you know how to talk about is race.
One moment, please.
Everything is race.
Please, Matt.
You talk about health care or Obamacare.
And your condescension and your attempt to silence me.
Professor, please, Matt, allow Professor Dyson to speak. Oh, please, Matt. What about please, Professor, who can't talk about anything other than race? Please, talking about Obamacare, immigration reform, something else.
Matt, I'm asking you.
Yeah. All right. So Martin Bashir, he of defecate and urinate in Sarah Palin's mouth, still working. Telling the white guy to shut up, basically. Yeah, peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, apparently it's because people in some cultures don't eat sandwich bread, says the principal of Harvey Scott K-8 school. It's a middle school, I guess, or whatever, in Portland. Take the peanut butter sandwich, a seemingly innocent example a teacher used in a lesson last school year. We'll get more on this tomorrow. Peanut butter and jelly sandwich, racist. On the Steve Malzberg Show. What a way to end. Newsmax TV and